Good evening, esteemed dignitaries, hospitality experts, academicians, faculty members, research scholars, and industry professionals. It is a privilege to welcome you all to the 6th-day online Atal Faculty Development Program, Flame to Feast, hosted by the Faculty of Hotel Management at Pcte Group of Institutes. I would take privilege to introduce the coordinator of this FDP, Chef Anirban Gupta, Dean, Faculty of Hotel Management, PCTE Group of Institutes. Co-coordinator, scholar, Mr. Manoj Das, Faculty of Bachelors of Tourism and Travel Management. I, Jyoti Pandey, as anchor, and my colleague, Mr. Rohit Gill, co-anchor from Hotel Management Department and technical team under the guidance of Mr. Sahil, Faculty of IT Department, and respected honorable speakers. Over the next week from 6 p.m. onwards, this FDP aims to enhance culinary expertise and innovative practices in hospitality education, empowering educators to deliver industry-relevant training in culinary arts and gastronomy. With the guidance of 12 distinguished dignitaries, this program will explore global culinary diversity, innovative cooking method, and the importance of seasonal ingredient utilization. Additionally, it will provide tools for effective teaching, foster collaborations, and create networking opportunities among educators, scholars, and industry professionals. Let us embark on this enriching journey together to enhance our knowledge and redefine hospitality excellence. Thank you. Now, I would like to introduce Ms. Harpreet Kaur Kang, under whose guidance and leadership we are organizing this event. Ms. Harpreet Kaur Kang is an accomplished author, life coach, pilot-turned-journalist, academician, and entrepreneur with a book, I Am, internationally recognized as major global book shows. As president of Ludhiana Management Association, she founded Forum for Students, Entrepreneurs, and Business Leaders and initiated India's first British parliamentary debate at PCTE. An independent director as Vardhman Group and Sport King India Limited. She co-founded Cross Branding for Regional Principals with 24 years of teaching, Masters of Business Administration and Bachelors of Business Administration students, and 8 years as journalist. She is also a Dean for International Affairs at PCTE, which has hosted students from 65 plus countries. She is a Harvard graduate in international business and holds a master's degree in journalism from PAU. Now, starting with the lamp lighting ceremony before the session, I would request you all to give a round of applause. For the inaugural speech, I would like to request Ms. Harpreet Kaur Kang for inaugural speech. Ma'am, over to you.
Ma'am, I think you are muted. You're not audible.
My apologies. Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And thank you, Jyoti, for introducing me. Good evening, guests, faculty, participants from outside, and students as well who've joined us here today. It is a privilege to be a part of the inauguration of Flame to Feast, decoding the art of culinary secrets across cultures and seasonal cycles, a faculty development program. This FDP is an AICTE training and learning program, Atal, which is hosted by the Faculty of Hotel Management at Pcte Group of Institutes, Ludhiana, Punjab. As an institution with about 2 decades of experience in hospitality education, Pcte has consistently prioritized hands-on training, industry exposure, and the holistic development of our students. Today, through this faculty development program, we take yet another step forward in empowering educators in the field of culinary arts, enabling them to refine their skills and enhance their teaching methodologies. This FDP will be an immense and an immersive journey, allowing us to explore the science of culinary craftsmanship, investigate diverse cuisines, and discover innovative cooking methods by 12 different chefs, not only from different states in India. There are 2 chefs joining us from abroad as well. As we move forward, we seek to foster collaboration and network, thereby creating a platform for knowledge sharing among our esteemed participants. Together, we will continue to evolve, adapting to the dynamic needs of the global hospitality industry. I would like to express my best wishes to our faculty, students, and participants from other organizations for their commitment to this program. Let us seize this opportunity to broaden our culinary horizons and deliver exceptional industry-relevant education that will shape the chefs and industry professionals of tomorrow. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It is always very good listening to you. We get so much of knowledge, and under your guidance, it is immense learning. It is very helpful. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, thank you all of you for joining us for 6-day online Atal FDP schedule from 16 to 21st of December. We are excited to have you with us for this enriching and engaging session. Please note that the meeting link will be shared with you on daily basis, ensuring you have access to each session. Now, to ensure that you are eligible for certification, kindly keep the following important criteria in mind. Number 1, attendance. You are required to maintain a minimum of 80% attendance throughout the sessions. Second, assessment. A minimum score of 70% is required in the assessment to qualify the certification. Third, the feedback, which please make sure to submit your feedback after the completion of the session each day. It is important to note that the certificate will be issued exclusively through AICTE portal. So please ensure you complete all necessary steps for certification. We would like to forward you the active participation, and we hope this FDP proves to be valuable for your professional and academic growth. Thank you once again, all of you, and let's make the most of this upcoming sessions. Kindly note it again, the certificates will be issued exclusively through AICTE portal. Starting with the introduction of our dignitaries, Chef TK Razdan, with an extensive 35 years of experience. Chef TK Razdan is an ex-principal of IHM and recognized trainer with Department of Personnel and Training. He is specialized in culinary education and professional training. In session 1, he will provide insight on introduction to culinary arts, exploring various cooking methods and their practical application in the industry. His expertise and hands-on approach make him a pivotal figure in culinary training and development. Chef Anirban Gupta. Chef Anirban Gupta, the Dean of Pcte Hotel Management and Travel Management, brings 28 years of diverse experience to the FDP. Known for his deep understanding for Indian cuisine, Chef Gupta will discuss the diversity of Indian culinary traditions and their role in global menu planning in session 2. His session promises to offer a blend of practical knowledge and strategic insight into the richness of Indian gastronomy. Chef Brigade Kumar from Singapore, an expert in Anglo-Indian cuisine and an accomplished author, Chef Brigade Kumar brings 25 years of experience in session 3, based in Singapore. She has dedicated her career to preserving the heritage of Anglo-Indian cuisine. Her session will focus on the rise and fall of Anglo-Indian cuisine, offering a historical perspective and its impact on culinary trend. Chef Sherry Kurian, Dr. Sherry Kurian. I'm so sorry for it was my bad. So, Dr. Sherry Kurian, principal of SJIHMCT, Pala, Kerala, has 31 years of experience in hospitality education. In session 4, she will shed light on Keralian cuisine, often considered a hidden gem in the culinary world. Her expertise promised to provide an in-depth understanding of culture and gastronomy richness of Kerala. Chef Gunjan Goyla. Chef Gunjan Goyla, a veteran chef of 40 years of experience and former member of ITC, is an author and historiographer. In session 5, she will explore the concept of green cuisine, focusing on sustainable and environmentally friendly cooking practices. Her session is expected to inspire chefs and professionals to adopt eco-conscious culinary method.
Guarantee.
Dr. Abhay Chamoli. Dr. Abhay Chamoli, an assistant professor at IMS Unison University, Dehradun, brings 18 years of experience in hospitality management. In session 6, he will discuss branding his Hill's cuisine for sustainable food tourism, emphasizing the farm-to-table movement. His session will highlight the intersection of local culinary traditions and sustainable practices in tourism industry. Chef Nishant Chaube, a renowned celebrity chef and founder of Bhanas in Dwarka, New Delhi. Chef Nishant Chaube has 25 years of experience. In session 7, he will delve into future food trends and Sattvic cuisine, exploring the evolving demand of health-conscious and spiritual dietary practices. His insight will focus on innovation and tradition in culinary world. Chef Aruna Tirke. Chef Aruna Tirke, a celebrity chef and owner of Azam Emba, specializes in tribal cuisine with 20 years of experience. In session 8, she will bring attention to tribal cuisine, highlighting its cultural significance and potential for culinary innovation. Her session will provide a unique perspective on preserving and promoting indigenous food traditions. Chef Sudhir Sibal. Chef Sudhir Sibal, a veteran chef with 45 years of experience, is the editor of India's first culinary magazine, Culinary Digest. In session 9, he will discuss the creation of future chefs, focusing on the skills, trainings, and innovation needed to shape the next generation of culinary professionals. His extensive experience makes him a guiding force for aspiring chefs. Chef Ashish Bhasin. Chef Ashish Bhasin, founder and director of CB Hospitality, has 26 plus years of experience, including role of Taj, Leela, and Oberoi. In session 10, he will explore the lost Mughlai cuisine, offering insight into its historical significance and potential revival in contemporary dining. His expertise promises a captivating look at the rich culinary tradition. Chef Emma. A French chef with 30 years of experience, Chef Emma will share her knowledge in session 11. Her topic focuses on the importance of bakery and confectionery in the world cuisine, highlighting their integral role in global culinary tradition and modern gastronomy. Last but not the least, Chef Ganesh Damodaran. Chef Ganesh Damodaran, the corporate chef of Griffith Food Private Limited, Karnataka, has 20 years of experience in the food industry. In session 12, he will discuss food processing operation and innovation, providing valuable insight into modern food technologies and their applications in the culinary world. Now, starting with today's session, the session 1, I would take the privilege to introduce Chef TK Razdan, whom I have introduced. I have given you just in the starting. Tej Krishan Razdan is a seasoned hospitality professional and academicians over 40 years of experience in culinary, education, training, and administration. A graduate from Kashmir University and a diploma holder in hotel management from IHM Chennai. He has held prestigious role, including principal, secretary cum general manager at Chandigarh IHM and technical expert at the Indian Culinary Institute, Noida. His career spans teaching food production, managing hotel operations, coordinating large-scale midday meal programs, and training hospitality professionals across India. Academically, he has been instrumental in curriculum development, research guidance, and the implications of national hospitality training programs, internationally trained at the Culinary Institute of America, New York. He has conducted numerous workshops and mentoring programs, including direct training skills and training need assessments, certified by Department of Personnel and Training. His contributions to hospitality education, including syllabus development, inspection of institutes, and organizing culinary competitions, reflect his commitment to fostering excellence in the field. I would now like to request Chef TK Razdan to start the session with his speech. Over to you, sir. Chef TK Razdan, sir.
A very good morning to all of you. It's my privilege and honor to be amongst you all today, to be part of this workshop, 6-day long workshop. And I'm honored to be the first speaker. I hope you're all doing well in this cold December evening and ready to, ready for mutual learning, in fact. It's a privilege that I would like to thank, for which I would like to thank PCTE, all the faculty and staff who are involved in organizing this event, and I hope we have an enriching experience in the next 1 hour that we'll be interacting. My request would be that I want it to be an interactive session. I want you all to participate, interact, and give your continuous feedback while we are in the session. Uh, uh, I would like to welcome all the participants also, and my special thanks to Chef Anirban, who was instrumental in, as far as I know, in organizing this event. Well, I'll be talking on methods of cooking and the replication, and of course, all of us eat. All of us, maybe we cook also, but let's get a little deeper into what's cooking, how do we cook, and what are the different methods of cooking, and their application to the present gastronomy. All right, let's have what's cooking. Let me have some reactions. You can put on your microphones in case you have access to your speakers. I don't want it to be one-way traffic. I speak and you listen, and I want you all to interact. Feel free to, put on your microphones, speak to me, I'll speak to you, and we learn from each other. Yes?
Cooking is to convert something to a form that is digestible in a human digestive system.
Very right, very right. Yes, yes. I want few more responses.
Cooking is the process of preparing food for consumption by applying heat to raw ingredients.
Very right, very right. Yes, yes, yes. See, we can eat raw food also without cooking it, but cooking is necessary. It's necessary to make food more digestible. So, what's cooking? Cooking is art, science, and craft of preparing food for consumption, of course, by application of heat. The heat may come from various sources, which we'll discuss in a short while. But some people say cooking is an art, but there's a lot of science also involved in cooking. You all agree? Yes. There's a lot of science. It's both skill and the craft that you apply to various ingredients to transform them into appetizing and flavorful and meaningful products. It's more both productive and reproductive work. There is some reproductivity, like you have to slice an onion, you have to cut vegetables, you have to grind something. That's all reproductive. But there's a lot of productivity involved in cooking, which we can call the art of cooking, where every chef has its own way of getting the flavors together and getting the consistencies and the textures together. So we can say cooking is the art, science, and craft of preparing food for consumption by application of heat. All right. Now, what are the objectives of cooking?
To make food
As I said, we sterilize food. We make it easily digestible, palatable.
To make the food tender.
Sorry?
Sir, to make the food tender.
To make the food tender, yes, of course. And also to introduce variety. When you combine different foods together, if you have to eat raw food, you'll eat a carrot, you'll eat an apple, or you'll eat some cabbage. But when you combine them together, you can produce a lot of variety. For example, you mix potatoes with brinjal, you mix potatoes with a lot of other vegetables, so you have a variety. You don't get fed up eating the same food every day. The cooking helps us introduce variety in our food also, right? Also, when we mix different,
it helps to infuse flavors as well.
Sorry.
It helps to infuse flavors as well.
Oh yes, of course. Palatable. When we say palatable, it's through flavors, it's through colors. It's the appearance of the food, the consistency of the food, which makes food palatable. Of course, flavors, textures, all those are transformed into more appealing food, definitely, right? So also to ensure a balanced diet, when we mix ingredients together, when we mix different vegetables, meats together, what happens is the nutrients in one add on to the nutrients in others. One may be deficient in one nutrient, but when we mix them together, we create a balanced diet. But here we have to be very careful that we don't, we mix those foods which help us creating balanced diet. We don't mix all protein foods together. So we have only a protein-rich diet which is deficient in other nutrients. So the knowledge, the experience of the chefs comes into play. You have to mix those ingredients which go well together in terms of flavor, in terms of texture. It may not be same texture, it may be a contrasting texture also. But also the nutrients. You have to balance the nutrients in such a way that every essential nutrient is present in a balanced amount in the food that we create. Of course, to make the food more appetizing, and appetizing food is that which is appealing. Like we say, the eye eats first, and it's the other senses that follow. So we have to create food which is visually appetizing first. Of course, when you take a bite of the food, it has to be it has to be tasty. It has to be served at the right temperature, and balance of everything is important. Like they say, too much of everything is bad. Similarly, here also, too much of everything would be bad. So first, we cater to the eye. We make the food appealing so that the person who we are serving the food to wants to eat the food. Once you have a first look at the food, not that you have a first look of the food and you say, no, I'm not going to have it. It may be the tastiest dish that you had, that the chef has prepared. But if it's not visually appealing, if it's not visually appetizing, many people may not want to eat it. So make it appetizing, appealing, and balance it out in terms of nutrients, in terms of textures, in terms of flavors, and you'll see that the food that you creates magic in the food, in the people who consume it. Now, there are some limitations of cooking.
So may I ask a question? In nutrition, there is a concept called bioavailability. The raw material that you select might seemingly have a lot of nutrition, but there is also a concept that there is a capacity for body to absorb that nutrition. So does application of heat have a role in increasing or decreasing bioavailability of certain nutrients in the raw materials of food?
Oh yes, very good question. Very good question. Definitely, heat affects food in many ways. We will talk about that in a short while. Of course, it alters the color, the texture, and other things also. We'll talk about this definitely. The effects of heat on the various nutrients that are present in the food. We'll talk about it, right? Thank you for asking. The limitations could be in terms of what? What would be the limitations of cooking? Are there any limitations of cooking at all?
Seasonal availability of the food.
You have to be a little louder.
Decreasing the nutritional value is the major limitation.
Decreasing the nutritional value is a major concern. Of course, yes. Anything else?
Time and skill requirement.
Decrease in
okay.
volume. Decrease certain things which can be eaten raw. They're voluminous and filling when they are raw. But once they're cooked and water is removed, the quantity reduces, like leafy vegetables.
Of course, that's what we just discussed. That when cooking affects the nutritional nutrients in the food, of course, generally it decreases the amount of nutrients present in the food. But that's why we have to be careful when we are cooking, because we cannot let every nutrient run away from the food that we are eating. So we have to be very careful in that. But what we're talking about right now is limitations. And as was rightly said, there's a loss of nutrients in terms of both quality and quantity. The quantity wise, the nutrients decrease, and of course their quality also gets affected. That way, if you want, the maximum nutrition from the food that you eat. You may not cook it, but there are other challenges that we have. It may not be digestible, it may not be palatable, it may not be appetizing, it may be just used consumed to fill up your stomach. So there is a loss in terms of quality and quantity, and of course there's a change in the texture and color. Now when we say color, let's say a vegetable, every vegetable looks more appetizing when it's in its natural color after cooking. Of course, there's a challenge to retain that color in the cooked dish. There are various rules. There are various rules that we have to follow when we are cooking, especially vegetables, to retain their color. And also there's a change in the texture, the texture of the food, be it vegetables, be it meats, be it seafood or any other ingredient, it changes after cooking. So as a chef, we have to be very careful in ensuring that there is minimum loss of nutrients in terms of both quantity and quality, and also there's a minimum change in the color, especially in the cooked dish, for which of course as a chef we have to get our basics right. What we teach students in the very first year, how to retain the color of especially vegetables in the cooked products. All right, so we have to overcome these limitations. We have to keep in mind these limitations when we are cooking food. All right, now food is composed of various parts, right? What are these? What is food composed of? Yes.
Protein,
Carbohydrates, yes.
vitamins, vitamins and minerals.
Very right, very right, very
All
right.
the macro and micronutrients.
Yes,
Proteins,
Macro and micro.
they are found in meat, poultry, fish, eggs.
right,
All
right.
sweeteners.
Yes, 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 yes. See, the major heads that the food is composed of are proteins, carbohydrates, fats, vitamins and minerals, fiber. And of course-
Phytochemicals.
Sorry?
Phytochemicals.
Yes, we'll categorize all those in vitamins and minerals, So the major parts of food are proteins, carbohydrates, fats, vitamins and minerals. Then there's fiber, and of course there's water. Right now, we just talked about trying to retain all these nutrients, all these parts of the food in the dish that we create or that we cook. All right. Now before we go on to the methods of cooking, let's take a look at effects of heat on the proteins. Now, what happens to proteins when they are exposed to heat?
Sir, it coagulates.
Protein coagulates, yes.
It is a coagulation of the proteins, basically.
Yes, very right. Come on.
Sir, it is a denaturation
Your
of
protein
the
also
protein
gets more
structure.
tougher when you cook. It gets more tougher. Cooking is the first process, then getting tougher and more rigid.
Yes. So it coagulates and gets tougher as more heat is applied, Yes?
To make more digestible, sir.
Yes?
To make more digestible.
To make food digestible, of course, we talked about that. That is the purpose of cooking, the objective of cooking. But right now we're talking about effects of heat on the proteins. As already said, proteins coagulate, get tougher.
Denature.
Sorry?
Denature of the protein.
Denaturization, yes, very right. What else?
Formation, coagulation.
Coagulation,
The formation
yes.
of new compounds that can create amino acids and peptides.
Right. Okay. All right. They firm up and coagulate. That's the first, visible, effect. And they shrink and lose moisture, get drier with the application of heat. The moisture is
It also
lost,
makes them
and that is what makes the, a food tough, actually. Like they say,
also can
when
make
you
more
eat
edible.
meats, especially, they must be moist. And when they are moist, they are more, palatable. They are more tasty. And as they get drier, they lose their, they lose their taste. They lose their, freshness, and they lose their, the protein, the amount of protein that they have in them, right? And on excessive heat, these proteins become tough and dry. So as a chef, we have to be careful not to expose these proteins to excessive heat, because they become inedible, so to say. So that's again where the skills of the chef come into effect. When you put something in the oven, what is the temperature, or you put it in a pan, how much of heat, how long it has to be put in the pan. All these things, are very important. It's not only the temperature, it is the time for which you expose these proteins to heat, which is also very important. All right.
We have to make sure that food will not be overcooked, right?
Sorry?
Food will not be overcooked.
Should not be overcooked. Of course, any food that you cook should never be overcooked, because overcooking, affects every aspect of the food. Be it texture, be it color, be it nutrients. It does not it does not become edible overcooking. It has an effect, drastic effect on the food that you cook. So overcooking is a big no for every chef. The food should be cooked to the right degree of doneness. That is very important. And if you are able to do that, if you're able to cook food to the right amount of doneness, make sure that you have everything in adequate quantity available in the food, in terms of all the nutrients, also in terms of color, also in terms of texture. So the temperature and time are both very important as far as the quality of the finished product is concerned. So it's the proteins, as we say, proteins start coagulating upwards of 160, 185 degrees centigrade. So we have to be very careful with that, with the temperature, also with the time that we expose the proteins to. All right. So what is the effect on carbohydrates?
It swallows like potato. When we boil it, it swallows.
It swallows. Okay. Very right.
The browning effect is there. That is Maillard reaction.
Come again, please.
Sir, it is that means sugar is present in the carbs.
And retrogradation happens with the carbohydrates.
Okay.
It gives the browning color. That is Maillard reaction.
Dextrinization, I guess.
Yes,
Dextrinization is the thing.
Dextrinization, very right.
Caramelization, like sugar breakdown, flavor development, and texture changes.
Caramelization, very right. Yes.
Gelatinization of flour.
Yes.
Gelatinization of the flour.
Gelatinization, very right. Yes. Right. So we can, categorize the effect of heat into carbohydrates in two heads. One is gelatinization. And what is gelatinization? It is the swelling up, bursting of the granules, swelling up and bursting of the granules of the starch, which results in liquid thickening. You can use carbohydrates like flour, for example. You can use it for thickening. Corn flour, all these. How do they thicken? Is they swell and burst, and that's how the liquids get thickened. That is one effect. and the other effect is caramelization. And caramelization happens because of the sugars that are present in starches, right? And when they're exposed to high
Also
heat.
known as dextrinization.
Sorry?
Also known as dextrinization.
Dextrinization. Dextrinization is the denaturing, denaturing of these carbohydrates. They become inedible. They turn, it's darkening of the carbohydrates. That
the cooking of sugar, the dextrin part, the sugar component of the carbs. That when it gets cooked, yes.
Right. So we're talking about caramelization. Caramelization would be the sugars that are present in the foods. They, you know about sugar, caramelization of sugar. When you heat sugar, what happens to it? Same thing happens to the foods that contain carbohydrates, and they first turn pale brown, dark brown, and then finally caramelize. And when they caramelize, they turn, after that caramelization, they turn black and they become inedible, insipid, so to say. So carbohydrates gelatinize, they caramelize, right? Now, effects of heat on fat. Yes?
So can we also include retrogradation in carbohydrates?
Degradation?
No, retrogradation when it cools down. Acha. So, one effect with heat, that is dextrination, and if it cools down, then it will be known as retrogradation when it leaves water, starches leaves water once it cools down.
Yes, that also,
physical changes
what
like
happens is
melting and smoking.
when you heat carbohydrates, there's a chemical reaction that also takes place, and what are formed are dextrins again, which are not very which are not very palatable in the food. So the excess of heat would also result in that, as you were saying, dextrinization. So mainly, there are so many effects that heat has on food, but what we can do is we can categorize them, and then almost everything can be included there. Like we said, caramelization, dextrinization, gelatinization, all these are major effects that happen on carbohydrates when they are heated. All right. The dextrinization, for example, it can change the taste of the food also. So as it said, it becomes insipid. It becomes, not tasty. It loses its taste, loses its color, loses everything. So again, the importance of cooking to the right amount of doneness is important. And as a chef, you have to be always careful with that. Right. Now let's come to the effects of heat on fats. Now fats, what happens to fats? They deteriorate.
It clears the impurities in it.
Melting, sir, converting the state from solid to liquid.
Of course, when you have solid fats, yes, we also
clears
have
the
oils.
impurities. It clears the impurities
Smoking.
in it.
So
Clears
basically,
impurities.
acidity
How
and
would it clear
reversal.
impurities?
So just like making butter from the clarified butter from the butter.
So, okay. What else?
Smoking. When fats are heated to a high enough temperature, they begin to smoke.
They get to smoke. Yes.
So polymerization. That is
Polymerization. Very right. Yes.
Nutrient loss as well.
Sorry.
Nutrient loss. Exceeding
Nutrient
the fat.
loss. Yes.
That infusions of the spices in the fat. Blending of the Indian spices.
Oxidation.
Sir, formation of free radicals
Yes,
which can
yes.
damage the cells and contribute to some chronic diseases.
Rancidity.
Rancidity. Yes. What else? So fats break down when they're overheated. they deteriorate rapidly. There is, what we call rancidity of oils, which are no more edible. All right. What else? They begin to smoke. So you must have seen when sometimes you're working in the kitchen and you have put oil on heating, maybe in a kadai or a pan. If you get busy with something else, what happens to the fat? It starts smoking, and it can lead to even fire also. It will catch fire. It can lead to that also. All right, and now smoking. We have to be very careful with this when we are selecting fats and oils for our cooking. Fats which have a high smoke point, are more recommended to be used, especially for frying. Right? These days we have this fad of using olive oils and things like that, which have a low smoke point. Even butter has a low smoke point. That's why when you have to cook in butter, you use some little amounts of oil in that, so that the smoke point increases, and it doesn't get rancid, it doesn't deteriorate, it doesn't polymerize, so to say. Right? So all these. Sorry. Yes. Okay, so that's the effect of heat on fats. They break down, deteriorate, get rancid, and after a certain point they smoke, which is called the flash point of oil. So you have to while selecting fats, you have to be very careful with this aspect of oil or fat, that it has to have a high smoke point. All right. Oxidization also happens. Yes, it does.
Yeah. When exposure to heat, light, and oxygen can cause fats to oxidize.
On exposure, heat over a long period of time. And when fats polymerize, and when they get rancid, you'll also see that they get thicker, because that is because of the chemical reactions that takes place. And these days we are very careful with oils. FSSAI also states that you have to reuse oil after a certain time, and there is a process where this used oil can be converted into various byproducts, and hotels can earn money from it rather than throwing it down the drain. You can put it to use to produce some other products also. So as a chef, you'll see that if you go to the roadside where you have those cheap foods available, street foods, where people are not aware of hygiene, and people are not aware of good methods of cooking, what happens there is that you see oil which is thick, which is black, and people are frying food in that and eating it and enjoying it. But let me tell you that it's neither good for your body, and it can only harm your body, rather than you may be enjoying eating it, but then the after effects of it can be terrible. So be careful with with the oil that you use in the kitchen, and make sure that every time you have to cook something, you have to fry something, you take a look at the oil and see that it is in good quality, and it's not deteriorated, or it's not got rancid, it's not got thick, it's not got too dark. So don't cook anything in that oil. Now, effect of heat on fruits and vegetables, scalding and scorching of leaves, the leaves scald, shrink, and the breakdown of chlorophyll,
Softening, color change,
the
nutritional
color
loss,
change, of course.
Makes
When
food more
texture
tender.
changes.
When
Rancidity.
chlorophyll breaks down, there's a complete color change, of course. Yes.
Flavor
What
development,
else?
texture changes.
Yes, that also happens. There's a loss of vitamins and minerals, tremendous loss of vitamins and minerals, right? And
Enzymes inactivation.
yes,
Enzymes inactivation.
yes, very right, very right. The fiber breaks down.
Discoloration.
discoloration, right? And there's a lot of flavor change. Now here we have to be very careful, when we are cooking vegetables, the rules like, all underground vegetables should be cooked, or the cooking should be started in cold water, and all overground vegetables, like the leafy vegetables and other vegetables, the cooking should be started in boiling water. That is rule number 1. Yes? Is there any other rule when you cook vegetables to retain maximum flavor and nutrition? Yes?
Blanching is a process where we can retain the color of the vegetables.
Correct. Yes, yes.
Chef, blanching is a process where we can retain the color of the vegetables.
Blanching is the process where we can retain the color. Okay. Yes. What else? What is important when you're cooking vegetables, especially? What is important to retain maximum color and flavor?
To have a cold bath, a shock treatment to the vegetable.
Okay, that's what we call refreshing. Yes.
For few vegetables, especially green leafy vegetables, for example, spinach, we must not cover it while cooking because it tends to change the color.
All right. Okay. Okay. When we set the temperature of the water, as we just talked, that all underground vegetables, the cooking should be started in cold water, and overground vegetables cooking should be started in boiling water. Why should we do that? Because most of the underground vegetables have more carbohydrate, more starch in them, so they need a little longer time to cook. That's why we start in cold water, so the time it takes to boil the water also simultaneously cooks the vegetable. So the overground vegetables have less of starch, less of fiber, so they need lesser time to cook. That's why we start them in boiling water, so that the cooking is instant. That's number 1. What is also important is the medium in which you cook vegetables, right? All green vegetables should be cooked in salt medium. Orange vegetables should be cooked in acid medium. Similarly, the white colored vegetables should be cooked in acid medium, right? The medium of the liquid in which you cook is also important, which can affect the color of the vegetables. And as a rule, as they say, green colored vegetables should be cooked uncovered. Why do you think so? How does that help in retaining color? See, there are, volatile oils. Yes, please.
So because chlorophyll get more darker color while extra heat.
Yes, that happens. But what I was asking is why should we cook green vegetables uncovered? We should not put a lid on the vessel in which we are cooking green vegetables, whether blanching, boiling, or whatever. Is because there are volatile oils present in vegetables, which, if not allowed to escape, would change the color of the vegetables, the green vegetables. So green vegetables, to retain their color, should be cooked uncovered. Of course, many nutritionists will not agree to this, because whenever you cook, you must have a lid on to retain those volatile vitamins and minerals which otherwise would escape. But here, as a chef, we are more concerned with making the food appetizing and presenting it in its natural color. So as I said, if you have a very tasty dish which does not look very appetizing in terms of its color, you may not eat it. So similarly here, vegetables which may have little lesser nutrition, but the color is as natural as possible, so you may want to eat it. So green vegetables should be cooked uncovered, and other vegetables, the medium of cooking, like you add a little vinegar or little lemon juice into the water when you cook white vegetables and vegetables that have red color, like beetroot and other things, which helps you retain maximum color. Similarly, orange vegetables should be cooked in neutral medium. Of course, salt is there. Green vegetables should be cooked with salt. All right.
So that could also increase the formation of sulfur compounds, which can also lead to an unpleasant odor or any
Yes,
flavor.
unpleasant odor. Very true. Very true. Yes, yes. That's why you don't need to put a lid on green vegetables. All right. Okay. Of course, pathogenic bacteria kill, softening of the fiber, the flavor changes are there. So all these are the effects of heat on vegetables. Now, effects of heat in fiber. How does fiber get affected by heat? Yeah. Yes, the redistribution of the soluble and insoluble components.
Softening.
Softening of fiber. Yes, the fiber
So
gets
loss
softened.
of prebiotic properties, which can negatively impact the gut health.
Very right, very right. Yes, yes. Now, let me tell you one thing, that cooking does not change the amount of fiber in foods. You know, the amount of fiber that's present in foods does not change on cooking. It remains the same, but only its texture, other properties may change. But the quantity of fiber does not change on cooking. There's softening of fiber, which gets more digestible in the body. And that's what we said, one of the objectives of cooking is to make it more digestible in the body, and that's what cooking helps us in, softening of the fiber. Right?
Nutrient
Also,
release.
yes,
Nutrient release.
nutrient release. That's what we're just coming to. You know, it enhances the absorption of other nutrients. You know, because it releases the nutrients, and the body. It becomes easier for the body to absorb those nutrients. That's another advantage of cooking fibers. The effect of heat on fibers. All right. Okay.
Sir,
Vitamins and minerals. So what happens to these when they are heated?
so my question is that which cooking method will be more helpful to preserve the fibers?
See, you can preserve it by using any of the cooking methods, but boiling is one. Of course, if you heat it to the right temperature and for the right amount. But there's no such thing that you roast something and all the fiber gets destroyed. No, it does not happen. As you said, the quantity of fiber remains the same, in spite of cooking, but its quality may change slightly. So there's no such thing as particular cooking method can be used to retain to retain the fiber. That's not how we go about it, right? So minerals and vitamins reduces the nutritional value, especially water soluble vitamins. They get lost, right? And then all these
Heat sensitive vitamins like vitamin C and B.
yes, those are water soluble vitamins. And what happens as a chef, what you should do is, when you're cooking foods which have a lot of vitamins in them, so you should use the right amount of water, not too much of water. And especially when after cooking, don't throw that water down the drain. You can use it in processing various other foods where you can incorporate those vitamins. Right? So as a chef, you must keep that in mind. Number one, just use the right amount of water when you're boiling or using other methods of cooking, and don't throw that cooking liquid off down the drain. Use it in making sauces, gravies, curries, or whatever, so that you don't lose those nutrients. They don't go waste. They are utilized in making other products in the kitchen. And of course, all these minerals get reduced or get lost during cooking. Now let's come to the cooking methods, right? we can classify cooking methods into different categories. What are these? One is dry heat, then moist heat.
Moist heat.
Yes. Any other?
Medium of liquid.
Combination.
Medium of liquid. Okay.
Or specialized cooking methods
Like
sous vide, microwaving, smoking.
okay.
Medium of fat.
There is a combination method also. Dry heat, moist heat, combination. And of course, there are some miscellaneous methods which cannot be put under any of these above 3 categories. All right. Now, what are dry heat methods?
Baking, roasting, grilling, broiling, frying.
Broiling,
Baking, roasting, grilling. What else?
Broiling, frying.
Broiling, frying. Okay, frying is a direct dry heat method.
Sorry, it's a
moist method.
It's a medium of fat.
Medium of fat. Yes.
Medium of liquid.
So basically, there are two methods. First is boiling, and second is
broiling.
Broiling. The first is broiling, and second is baking.
All right, baking, roasting. Roasting can be done in a pan, in a pot, in an oven, or it can be done over a spit. What we call barbecuing. Frying.
Sir, spit roast. Sir, I have a question.
Yes.
Sir, how can we just put spit roasting in a dry heat, because we are basting the chicken or any of the meat item if we cook about tandoor and other barbecues?
Okay, the amount of fat that we use there, it's not as much as you would do in frying. It's just, just applying it, brushing it with a little oil so that the food remains moist, remains moist and retains that flavor. So it's not, you're not immersing food into fat or oil. It's just a little application of fat or oil, which is mainly done to keep it moist. As we said, dry food, any food that you eat, if it is dry, it is insipid. You don't like it. You serve chutneys and other things with food to make it a little more moist. That is the purpose of those chutneys and sauces that you serve with food. So when you say spit roasting, how can we put it under a dry method? Is because we don't use too much of oil. It's just little brushing of oil that we do. All right. Then we have frying, and frying again is classified into shallow frying, deep frying. We have sauteing, then searing. All right. These are the different types of frying. And then grilling is another method of dry heat cooking, which can be done over open fire, or it can be done in a salamander. These are the dry heat methods of cooking. And what are the moist heat methods?
Blanching, poaching, steaming, boiling.
Yes,
braising,
yes.
stewing.
Boiling, simmering, poaching, stewing, steaming, and of course pressure cooking. Now, what is the difference between boiling and simmering? Let me just get it from you.
So temperature variation. Boiling is done at 100 degrees Celsius.
And simmering?
And simmering is below than that.
Below than that. So as a chef, how would you know whether you are boiling or simmering the food? Because you don't carry a thermometer every time to check the temperature of the water, whether it is 100 degrees or less than 100 degrees.
The way the during simmering, there will be no bubbles, most probably.
There will be no bubbles in what? In simmering?
Simmering, very light during, because for stock we use the process of simmering.
Yes.
So
stocks
very
are made by
negligible
simmering.
amount
But
of
how would
boiling.
we know? How would we know whether the liquid is? Yes.
The degree of agitation of water when the heat is applied.
Very right. See what happens in boiling, the bubbles rise up, quick and fast, and
So
they,
it's in a rolling boil method.
very true. And what happens is boiling is they break the surface of the water when they rise up. Whereas in simmering, the bubbles rise up gently without breaking the surface of the liquid. It is like if we put it in a lighter vein, it's like laughing and smiling. Boiling is laughing and simmering is smiling. All right. That's how you get to know the temperature. What
Yes, sir.
happens, mistakes we do normally is when we put something to simmer, there are no bubbles. We put the heat, we on simmer, and we think that the food is simmering, but it may not be simmering if there are no bubbles rising up. The bubbles have to rise up. They have to be gentle, and they don't have to break the surface like you do. Clarify a consomme. Now, if you let it boil, what happens to the raft that is formed on top? It breaks, right? And everything gets mixed up into the stock. Whereas in simmering, the bubbles are rising up gently. They don't break the surface, right? That's how the clarification takes place. All the impurities that are present in the stock, get caught in the raft that is formed on the surface of the liquid. So then you have poaching, stewing, steaming, pressure cooking, and blanching, of course. Though you don't, cook everything by blanching, but we can include it in the method of cooking. All right. So what are the combination methods? Combination methods are braising, boiling, braising, and boiling. Then miscellaneous methods, we can put them as microwave cooking, solar cooking. Of course, they're not methods of cooking as such, but sous vide is another method that's now getting very popular.
So smoking also.
Yes?
Smoking.
Smoking, yes, smoking. You can include that also. Very right. Smoking also is what we use, to impart flavor mainly. It may not be exclusively used as a method of cooking, but it's used to impart flavors, to add on flavors to the foods. All right. Now let's come to the individual methods of cooking. Broiling. What is broiling? It's cooking by direct exposure to radiant heat in an oven under a broiler.
Food is cooked under a direct heat source.
Direct heat source, under a direct heat source, right, which is called a broiler, right? And it can be used to cook thinner and leaner cuts of meat. In fact, prime meats, like you have the butterfly, the chicken, pork tenderloin, and other dishes under a direct heat, which we call radiant heat. All right. Baking. What is baking?
Food is cooked in an oven with dry heat.
With dry heat. Very right. Yes. In an enclosed space, right? And it's closed. Nowadays we have ovens with where you have fans which make sure that the heat is circulated evenly in the oven. Earlier, there were ovens without these fans, so the heat would get concentrated in one certain parts of the oven. But now, because of these fans, the heat gets circulated evenly throughout the oven, making the food cook evenly. There are no, burnt spots in the food, or it's all evenly colored, evenly cooked. All right. And baking, of course, you can use it for in the cooking of various breads, pastries, muffins, cakes, and whatnot. Very upcoming industry, the baking. Roasting. Now, what is roasting?
Similar to baking, but often used for larger cuts of meat.
Similar to baking. Okay.
We use a marination for roasting, which we do not do for baking.
Of course, that is to tenderize the meats even before cooking. marination, and also to impart more flavors to the food, right?
The
As
roasting
we
has
said, roasting is similar to baking, of course. Again, done in an oven, where you have diffuse heat, and the hot air surrounds the food and cooks it evenly on all sides. And roasting is generally applied to more to meats and meat products. All right. Whereas baking is for making desserts and other pastries and breads. So much similarity as far as roasting and baking is concerned, but the ingredients are different. The products are different that we get out of these cooking methods, right?
Tandoor
Roasting
barbecue,
can
spit
also
roasting
be
comes in
done
this.
over open flame.
There are various types of roasting. I think
Yes,
spit
there are
roasting,
various. What are these?
barbecue,
Yes.
Spit
Yes.
roasting,
barbecue,
tandoor barbecue, pot
spit
roasting.
roasting,
Tandoor
pot
roasting.
roasting. All these are comes under in the roasting part.
Very right. Very right. Yes. 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 Uh, as we saw in the earlier slides, spit roasting, pot roasting, boiling, right? These are all different types of roastings that we can use. You can roast in an oven. If you don't have an oven, you can roast in a pot also. All right. So those are different types of roasting. Now let's come to frying. What is frying?
Food is
Deep
cooked
and
in hot
shallow
oil.
fry.
Food is cooked in hot oil. Now you may do
Yeah,
it
this
by
can be done in
immersing in
various
hot
ways
oil,
like deep
or
fry.
yes,
There are two types of frying, sir. One is shallow frying and one is deep frying.
one is shallow frying and one is deep frying, and
To add on, there
There's
is
then
stir
pan frying
frying
also.
also. To
stir
add on,
frying,
there
what
is
we call
stir frying for Chinese
sautéing,
preparation. Sauteing.
right?
Pan frying.
Yes.
Pan frying, sautéing, stir frying. Yes.
Air frying, sir.
Now, deep frying is when you submerge the food in hot oil or fat, right? And due to conduction of heat, the food gets fried, and it gets fried quickly. Frying is a quick method of cooking, right? Then there's shallow frying, where we use very less amount of frying, you may call a paratha, which can be a shallow fry, where you don't immerse the paratha in the oil. It's just cooked in a tawa, and a little amount of oil or fat is used to cook it. Then there is sautéing or pan frying. What happens there? Sautéing literally means to toss, right? Toss. When you toss the food in a pan in a little oil or fat, what we call sautéing. We call it pan frying also. All right. Then let's come to grilling. What is
Sir, I
grilling?
have a question, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, will air frying come under the roasting method or the frying method?
It will come under roasting method. It will come under
Okay,
roasting.
sir.
Again, it's an enclosed space that you're cooking in, and the amount of oil or fat is just little. You may just brush the food with the fat or oil, right? So it's not it's not immersed in the oil like we do it for frying, deep frying. So it can classify it as dry method of cooking, more of roasting rather than frying. All right.
Right, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Then
And
grilling.
during grilling, the grilling marks has to be come on the food, which will provide the difference between other methods of cooking.
Very true. The heat is applied to the surface of the food, right? The surface of the food, which may be from the bottom or it may be from the top.
Yes, sir.
It may be from the top. So,
Food is
unlike
cooked directly.
in roasting, where there may be in between some metal in the form of a tray or a pot or whatever, but grilling, the food has to come directly in contact with the heat, which may be from above or below. And again, it can be used for cooking prime meats, lean meats, and thin meats, which cook very fast, which are tender. That grilling can be used, and you can grill under the heat, over the heat, or in between the heat also. All right, where heat is coming from top and also bottom. Then let's come to boiling. What's boiling? Boiling is, as we said, is cooking at 100 degrees the boiling point of the liquid, and the bubbles rise up vigorously and break the surface of the liquid. That is boiling. All right, and you can the medium, the liquid that use can be different. It can be water. It can be stocks. It can be milk. It can be any other liquid also. All right. And what is simmering and poaching? Simmering, as we said, is cooking, slightly under the boiling point of the liquid, which is, in case of water, is about 95 degrees centigrade, and bubbles are rising in simmering also, but they're not rising so abruptly or vigorously. Gentle rise of the bubbles, and these bubbles don't break the surface of the liquid. And simmering can be used again for cooking, more tender foods, more tender meats than foods that are, hard to cook. Of course, gentle boiling, as you said, right? Does not break the surface of the liquid, and can be used for cooking primed foods, which cook faster and quickly. Now, coming to stewing. What is stewing?
Sir, in this, the large chunks of meats are cooked to break down the tough tissues, and it is
All
a
right.
slow process of cooking.
Okay. Anybody
Similar
else?
to braising, similar to
done in
braising,
a
but the liquid is usually a sauce or broth.
Similar to braising. All right. Okay.
it is
Cooking
done in
food,
a stock pot, and which is enclosed, and we need a amount of liquid which is required to cook that particular food, and it should be done on a simmering gas for a
Yes.
longer period of to break down the tissues of the meat and the vegetables.
Very right. Yes. Stewing. Right. It's a slow method of cooking, right? And generally, the tougher cuts of meat can be stewed. And what happens in stewing, you don't cover the food completely with the liquid. It is covered 2/3. So what happens is some of the food cooks by boiling, and some of the food cooks by steaming. And it's a long method of cooking. And of course, you have to have a tight-fitting lid on the pot that you're stewing in. And the tougher meats get cooked evenly in the liquid. Of course, the liquid you can use it to make the gravy, which accompanies the foods that you have stewed. All right, so a slow method of cooking, and can be used slow and long method of cooking. It takes a little longer time than any other method of cooking, because you have to break down the dish, the foods into making it more digestible, so to say. All right. So steaming, of course, steaming is when food is cooked by contact with steam. Yes.
It cooks in the water vapor, sir.
Yes. When the water turns into steam, and this steam gets into contact with the food, all right, it heats the food up and cooks it. And as you know that steam, the temperature of the steam is higher than the water that is boiling, so the cooking can be faster. And there are other advantages of steaming, where you have less loss of water soluble vitamins, right? And there is even cooking. Cooking happens when you're or steaming. All right. And the steam comes into direct contact with the food, right? Whereas in boiling, you're immersing the food in the water, into boiling water. So there's a lot of difference in the texture, a lot of difference in the flavor, and a lot of difference in the appearance of the food that is either steamed or boiled. You can see it from a naked eye, whether the food has been boiled or steamed. right? Blanching, as I said, is used as a method of cooking, but what do you use it for basically? Blanching
to increase the color of any like vegetable, and
Okay.
sometimes in case of tomatoes we do it for the removing of the skin.
Removal of the skin also, right? Yes. To refresh
And
the vegetable, so to say, right?
to make it yes.
And you have to be careful in as far as the time is concerned, which you put it in the boiling water. And of course, since the purpose is not to cook, actually, it is to improve the color or maybe to remove the skin. So what happens is you have to refresh it quickly after you remove it from the water.
Stocking process, which we have to do generally after the blanching.
Right. You have
immediately
texture
into the cold water.
It is known as the shock treatment as well.
Yes. We call it refresh also. Refresh them quickly under running cold water or ice water, which brings down the temperature.
The hot water blanching, cold water blanching, and the oil blanching. There are 3 types of blanching is there.
Yes. Very true. You can blanch a tomato in oil also. You put it in oil, remove it, and refresh it and remove the skin.
Yes.
Now, when you're blanching, the time is very important. And why do you shock it or why do you refresh it? Is to bring down the temperature. What we call technically to prevent carry over cooking.
Yes.
What we call carry over cooking. When you remove something from hot liquid, you think that the quick cooking has stopped, but it has not stopped because
that's how the latent heat.
Yes, very true. So the cooking has not stopped. You want to reduce the temperature so that cooking completely stops, and you get the purpose. Whether you want to peel it or whether you want the color to be increased or whatever. So you have to be careful that you don't expose it to heat for too long, and you bring down the temperature as quickly as possible after you remove from the liquid. So which we call refreshing or shocking or whatever. And it is to prevent the carry over cooking. The carry over cooking, as we say in cooking terms. Now braising. What is braising?
Combination of 2 method, stewing and roasting.
Stewing and roasting, right?
Yes, sir.
So
Food is cooked slowly in liquid.
It's not similar to roasting or it's not similar to stewing. There's a combination that is used. First you may use oil, medium of oil to seal the meat or seal the food, and then it is put in a cooking liquid, which could be any liquid to cook, like it then stew it. So braising is a combination method of roasting and stewing. You first not literally roast it, but you may sear it in hot oil. That also is done to seal the meat so that there is no loss of moisture. The meat remains moist. The moisture is retained inside when we seal, because we said proteins coagulate. So when there is coagulation, the liquids, the moisture present in the meats does not escape the meats, and helps in retaining moisture and making it moist. And moist food is better than dry food, insipid foods, right? Okay, boiling. What is boiling?
Sir, boiling is a method of cooking in which the food is completely cooked in a butter, like the high quality chunks of meat or poultry product, which has to be cooked purely in butter.
Well, not necessarily butter. It is similar to what we call roasting, but it is done in an earthenware casserole, not in an oven. And frequent basting. So when you baste it, there's amount of oil or fat that accumulates in the vessel. Is more than what we normally use in roasting, right? And of course, as you said, butter. butter is the right fat which gives the right flavor and taste to the food. But basically, it is done in an enclosed earthen casserole or in a pot which has an enclosed lid. And frequent basting is done to keep the food more moist and appealing also. Right? Now, sous vide. What is sous vide? Yes.
So that involves sealing food in a airtight bag and cooking it in a water bath at a controlled temperature.
Yes, very right. Controlled temperature and cooking over a long period of time. Cooking under a
long period of time.
Long period of time. What we call long time and low temperature cooking.
Sealing food in a plastic bag and cooking
In a
it
plastic
in a
bag
water
in a
bath.
vacuum, and then immersing it in a liquid which is heated to appropriate temperature, and the food is cooked over a long period of time. What does it help in? It helps in retaining most of the nutrients, because temperature is what affects, as we have noted earlier. Heat is what affects the nutritive value, nutrients in the food. So when we have low temperature, the nutrients, there's less loss of nutrients. The food is more nutritive and it's more moist, because high heat would again result in loss of liquid, loss of moisture from the food. So the food is healthier, it's more tastier, and it's more evenly cooked, right? That is sous vide, and as you know, it was invented by a French chef known as Georges Pralus, and it's a method of cooking which has gained global recognition and is used presently in cooking various dishes. Of course, the time taken is quite long. So you have to plan for it in advance. You cannot, have it as such an a la carte or like that. It takes time for the food to cook. All right. Okay. And the temperature, of course, as you said, low temperature, 55 to 60 degrees. For red meats, it's 66 to 71. All right. And the intent is to keep the food more moist and retain more nutrients in the food that we are cooking. All right. Pressure cooking. What happens in a pressure cooker? The steam is not allowed to escape, and that creates pressure. When it accumulates, it creates pressure, and that's what increases the temperature, and the food cooks faster. Right? That's what happens in a pressure cooker. Why does food cook faster? Is because of the steam that accumulates and which is not allowed to escape. This accumulation of steam increases the pressure, which increases the temperature of the liquid, and the food cooks faster. All right. Chefs generally don't like pressure cooked food, because it doesn't give you the same flavor, same taste as you would do in normal method of cooking, or like your slow cooking, boiling, poaching, and other methods of liquid. But it is used to cook foods which otherwise would take long time, saves you a lot of time, and and also energy, the pressure cooking methods of food, right? This is what we discussed. Of course, accumulation of steam results in high pressure, increases the temperature, and the cooking happens faster, right? Solar cooking, of course, it's not a method of cooking, but it's the energy which is different, where the solar energy is used, is converted solar energy to heat energy, which is used to then cook. You can use various methods of cooking on solar heater also. You can fry, you can poach, you can boil, you can steam. But This is again what now is gaining popularity. A lot of solar heaters converted, and saves you a lot of energy. It is ecologically recommended that solar heaters can be used as a source of heat for using various methods of cooking. All right. The sun rays, which are converted, into heat energy, and which in turn helps us in cooking of food. All right. So thank you very much. I hope we are clear with the methods of cooking and the effects of heat on the nutrients, and their uses. Of course, you can think and let me know what are the various dishes that can be cooked by using these methods of cooking. All right. Now, in case you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
So I have one question which is related to pressure frying.
Which is related to?
Pressure frying.
Okay.
So my question is basically, what are the primary benefits of using pressure frying compared to the conventional deep frying?
See, as we said just now, that when you use when the pressure increases, when you use high pressure, the temperature gets the temperature of the oil increases, and because of that, the food cooks faster. And when the cooking time is less, it ensures that most of the nutrients are retained, most of the taste is retained in the food, and the flavors are retained. That's the only benefit, right? Otherwise, conventional frying, the cooking time is little longer as compared to pressure frying. There is not otherwise any major difference in the two. It's just in terms of time that you have a saving of you faster cooking and quick cooking.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions, please? Yes, please.
Thank you, Chef, for the informative and engaging session on introduction to culinary different methods of cooking and application in the industry. Your expertise and insights have been invaluable to us. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
It's been my pleasure, and I hope we've had. I really thank all the participants, and I'm very happy that we had an interactive session. There were some questions asked, and I hope I have been able to clarify your doubts. And let me make one request, that all those who are present here, please don't leave this forum with any doubts in your mind, because they will keep there. Please have them clarified in case you have any questions, you have any doubt. This is the right forum to have them cleared. We can clarify them together, and so that our cooking is more meaningful, is more practical, and we are able to achieve those objectives of cooking, and that we indulge in every day. So again, in case you have any doubts, any questions and clarifications, please feel free to ask, so that we learn from each other also. Right? So thank you very much, all of you, and it's been a pleasure. And my thanks again to the management of PCTE, all those who were involved in organizing and getting together all of you here, and my sincere thanks to all of them. And I hope to see you again sometime in future. Thank you very much.
Sir, thank you. Informative
Good
session,
night.
sir.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Now moving further with another speaker.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Rohit Gill from Hotel Management Department. I'm going to introducing the chef Anirban Gupta. Chef Anirban Gupta, boasting an illustrious career spanning 27 years in the hospitality industry, his journey marked by excellence and innovation has seen him rise from a food and beverage director to general manager, working with some of the most prestigious brands in the hospitality world. Chef Gupta began his career with Taj Bengal, Kolkata in 1998 before moving on to ITC, Sonar Bangla, and Sheraton Towers. His expertise has been instrumental in shaping the culinary of iconic properties like the Park Hotel, where he created expectational F&B outlets such as Aura, a high-end club, and Saffron, a contemporary Indian restaurant. His association with the specialty group of restaurants, including mainland China, and his role in establishing India's first Italian chain, Fire and Ice, as country general manager, highlight his dynamic leadership and innovative approach. An acclaimed author, Chef Gupta penned The Immunity Kitchen, a book celebrating India's rich heritage of spices, vegetables, and their medicinal value, featuring 300 recipes for appetizers to desserts. The book delves into the therapeutic properties of Indian dishes, making it a significant contribution to culinary literature. Chef Gupta passions lie in reviving and recreating age-old Indian cuisines. His extensive work on heritage dishes, festivals, and culinary culture has set benchmarks in this industry. As a specialist in world-class events and food festival, his creativity shines through in every endeavor, earning him accolades as a decorative and innovative chef. Currently serving as the Dean of the Faculty of Hotel Management and Travel and Tourism at PCTE Group of Institutes, Chef Gupta continues to inspire the next generation of culinary professionals. His pioneering project, the Ayushman Cuisine, focuses on the commercialization of ancient Indian Sattvic cuisine, emphasizing dishes without onion and garlic that promote healing and wellness. His innovative use of millets to develop a complete Indian bread section further demonstrates his commitment to sustainable and health conscious culinary practices. Chef Anirban Gupta's remarkable journey, enriched by his passion for culinary innovation and his dedication to preserving India's culinary heritage, makes him a beacon of inspiration in the world of hospitality. The one saint is भजन भोजन खजाना यारी चारों है पर्दे के अधिकारी. So let's reveal the truth and facts of Indian cuisine. So now I am handed over to the chef Anirban Gupta. Welcome to the session, sir.
Thank you, Rohit sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, AICTE, for giving us the opportunity, to take this FDP. And thank you, the culinary guru, Chef TK Razdan. It was a fiery, your presentation. And I may borrow some fire to light some and cook some Indian cuisine. This is Chef Anirban Gupta. And today I'll be presenting a topic which is very close to everybody's heart. That is the diversity of Indian cuisine and its role play in the today's menu planning. In this regard, I would like to say to explain you the diversity of India, the diversity of Indian cuisine. I'm talking about from bibinka of Goa to mishti doi of Navadvip. I'm talking about this extreme steamed food, Siddu of Himachal, to extremely, the luxury cuisine of British Raj, Kubiraji cutlet. So to talk about this Indian diversity, I will reveal some truths. Now, the truth, there are a lot of websites, there are a lot of facts, figures, which will reveal that there are a lot of things, different parts from the world, India has got it. But the facts which I'll reveal after this session, I am definitely sure that one thing will come to your mind, that Sare Jahan se Acha Hindu se tha hamara. So to start along with, I'll like to present the PPT. It is the different cuisines of India and the diversity of the cuisines in global menu planning. Now, firstly, if I may, interact with you, starting from the birthplace of Indian cuisine, where the Indian cuisine was born. May I know that which is the ancient civilization from where India was started?
Harappan civilization, chef.
Is visible? Okay. So what is the ancient civilization? Anyone?
Chef, Harappan civilization.
Indus Valley civilization.
Hello.
Yes. And ancient civilization, if I'm talking about, it has started, from Indus Valley civilization. Indus Valley civilization, I'm talking about the timeline, which is almost around 3,300 to 1,300 BCE, before Christ era, before the Common Era. So it was actually the birthplace of the Indian cuisine, the culinary, where the Indian cuisine was born. Why I'm telling this thing? Because during that era, or during that time, there was traces. We all know that, it was one of the magnificent people or the tribes which has built the households, the modern toilets, the modern kitchen, the modern drainage system. But it was not known that it was also one of the most developed culinary structure. The cuisines were also being formed, what in today we say are modern cookery. Now, Indus Valley civilization, if you are talking about this time period of 3,300 to 1,300 BC, what the historians, or what we get from these archaeological sites, that there was traces already. This wheat, barley, rice, millets was already cultivated, and people have started making the dishes from those crops. Now, evidence from the archaeological sites suggests that use of grinding stones for flour and rudimentary ovens for baking was being found. So during that time, what we say in modern cookery, the roasting, it was started. It was started in that era when the people was just coming up from the Bronze Age, the Indo-Aryans. Now, apart from that, what is the oldest ancient vegetables? If we interact, I think, so if you can unmute so that we can interact with the people. What is the ancient vegetables? Anyone? Which is the ancient Indian vegetables?
Sir, is it potato?
Garlic, sir.
See, it is something we can both interact, and we can understand what exactly, the formation of today's Indian cuisine. Any ancient vegetables?
Peas, garlic, onion, peas.
Yam, chef.
Absolutely,
Chef,
sir.
yam.
Garlic, peas,
Potato.
Ma'am. Ma'am, let us go to the actual traces, what the historians has found about, and which is actually astonishing facts, that what is seen in Wikipedia, what there are facts written. Who have written those facts? Is it the invaders, the rulers who have invaded India, or the people who have colonized India, or the truth revealed somewhere else? I'm revealing you some truth which is only written and researched in Indian age-old books like Shushruta Samhita, Chakrapani, Panini, and Yajur Veda and Atharva Veda. So the traces are being founded that aubergines are the oldest and the oldest form of vegetables which are being founded during that time. Vegetables like aubergines, turmeric, garlic are those times which were already in use, and other lentils like chickpeas were also being cultivated. Dairy products, dairy products during that time, the traces are founded that domestic animals like camel, sheep, goat, these are the main prime animals which they used to get the dairy products. So during that time, we already get the traces were found of this roti or the breads made with millets and the vegetables. So during that time, it was established that the modern culinary cooking, what we are talking about, this boiling, roasting, it was already in the structure. And the most important thing, what we find in Wikipedia, that watermelon somewhere came from Libya, somewhere came from Africa, but there were traces that fruit like watermelon were existing in Indus Valley civilization during that time. And when I come to the next timeline of Vedic period, the books which was written during that time, or the Puthis was written during that time, it reveals that yes, watermelon is nothing but the ancient fruit of India. So traces of watermelon, anar, pomegranate, and dates were being found over there. So during that time, already the bread making, the boiling was already in the form. The culinary was getting birth. So after that, if we are coming to our next timeline of about the Vedic period, now we are talking about the Vedic period around 1500 to 500 BCE. That was a landmark and a game changer of the entire world cuisine. In today's date, after almost 5,500 years, in today's date, the modern cookery, the whole world's cookery is going for diet plans. If I may reveal that during that time, 1500 BCE, the Indo-Aryans was so active and they were so modern, already the diet plans was introduced. First, the Indian formation of this in Indus Valley, this baking and those part was introduced. Then advancement, this in a Vedic period, there was introduced as this diet plan. What is the diet plan? During that time, already the modern, the milk which we are getting from the camels or from sheep was taken to the next level. These are being elaborate meals which were prepared for religious rituals with offering of rice, barley, and dairy products. During that time, there was 3 types of gunas which is being mentioned. One is sattva, one is raja, and one is tama. 3 different gunas, 3 different segments of that plan which was introduced. What was that? One was rajasic, first was sattvic, second was rajasic, and third was tamasic. Now, what was the diet plan for the Brahmins and the caste system? For the Brahmins whose life was with harmony, their diet plan was absolutely focused with fruits, dairy products. For the Rajasic, the kings, the spices were already being introduced in the Vedic era. What are the spices? The black pepper. The whole world which was using one of the most specialist spices. And I'll tell you, the whole world, the spices, India has introduced the whole world with the spices. That is the black pepper, cardamom, cinnamon, turmeric was already introduced in the Indus Valley. It was taken to the next level along with ginger. So during that time, we see that Rajasic, the king's food, the king food was developed with the taste of spices. And tamasic, What was this diet plan? This was diet plan. It required negative energy. The soldiers, the lower caste, which required negative energy for killing, that part was the food was introduced with majority of the meat parts. And if I may reveal one more fact, biryani. Now, again, I have the the question for my lovely audience. When the biryani came to the picture, do we know about biryani, pulao, cooking rice with meat? Which is the timeline where we get this biryani into a big formation? In any timeline where we see India has got its biryani? Yes. Somebody says
Around after the invasion of
14th
Mughal.
century. If I say
Around 15th
that
century.
according to these books, there is called a word mansodan, meal with meat with rice. It was already introduced in this Vedic period. So see how this entire world's food is shaping up. And it was the birthplace of this world's food, which was later on moved to different parts of the world by sailors, by travelers, to different parts of the world. Now, during that time, one of the most important findings was the vegetables which was introduced, and during that time, vegetables was abundant. People already had the usage of the vegetables. And what is the method of the cooking they used in Vedic period? Boiling and steaming, which was rice in a form. Now frying. During that time, around 1500 BCE, frying was introduced. And what is the traces? There was being traces, and there was being written in this manuscript, the this barley cakes called apupa. It was found that it was being fried. And in today's generation, if we see thekua, which is one of the most important dishes in Bihar part, where it has been a festival thing, especially in Chhat Pujas. So that thekua, which is being made with jaggery, which it was later on introduced, but its primary form was this apupa, which was then frying was already used. Roasting and grillings. Now, which are the vegetables which they started making it, for the Brahmanas, for the Rajas? Vartaka, as already brinjal was being, eggplant was being traced in Indus Valley. It was grown abundant, which was called Vartaka. Bimbi or Parwal, which is ivy gourd, which was also being used as one of the oldest vegetable. Now, potato and tomato, which is one of the most used food in every household, was never ours. It came much, much later in AD or in Common Era by Portuguese. So during that time, the ancient vegetables of Indian was brinjal, bimbi, parval, kadali. Now the banana actually was used during that time in a cooking method. They used to cook banana in different forms. There was being in those books, it's mentioned that paisam, what we say kheer in today's milk and rice being cooked together, the kadali was being used. Also, it has been mentioned that dishes are being prepared with raw banana. Then vanasa. What is vanasa? Vanasa is kathal or the jackfruit, which was being found in those, which was actually the formation shaping up. See, in today's date, in modernized, in vegetable, in biryani's formation, we actually are doing biryanis with jackfruit. But during that time, it already existed. But what happens? It was later on those documentation or the puthis or the writings which we found, it was later on destroyed. Okay, now this coming to this very period, imli, tamarind was also being introduced during that time. Other vegetables like amla, again a very interesting fact that what Wikipedia says and what Indus Valley Civilization finding and this book Shushrut Sangita says that there's a fruit called kalinda. Kalinda is nothing but watermelon, which was existing during that time in Vedic, this Vedic period. Other fruits and vegetables like draksh, grapes, kapita, bale, which is the wood apple, and other kandmul, and the spices which was taken during that time is basically avishuk, which is pine nuts, aksota, which is walnut, vatamana or vatama, which is almond, anjeer, and nikochak, which is pistachio. Other vegetables predominantly. See, the cooking is taking place already this sattvic bhojan, or we are talking about this sattvic food. During that time payasam was made. Now the payasam variation was also made, because there is a usage of the fruit called narikela. Narikela is what? Coconut. And other fruits like apricot, singara, which was during that time sapaka, custard apple. So during these times, this usage are there. Also, one very important thing, coming to meat. See, there are rajasic food. And during this period, rajasic food during that time, there was the usage of lemon. Marination. I'm talking about Vedic period, where already marination came into the part. Matulunga. Matulunga is today's date sour lemon, which one being used. And also other fruits like age-old Indian fruits of vegetables like pumpkins, spinach, lotus stem, kamal, kakri, and bottle gourd was also into the use. So Vedic period already given a new shape of the modern cuisine. The diet plans and the food, the dishes were shaping up for India. The usage of milk in payasam as a dessert, different types of vegetables, and the most important thing, the curries, which later on we know that the Britishers or the colonial cuisine or the British Raj cuisine has given this word curry. During that time, already the usage of garlic and this turmeric, this black pepper, this was already being used, and it was already being made into a curry form or into a gravy form with spices like cinnamon, cardamom, and turmeric. Now, coming to this next era, we are talking about this era now. After this Vedic period was a game changer. Already India was very modern during that time. Later on, I'm talking about the period which is around Maurya Empire. The Maurya Empire, the rise of Buddhist influence, also during that time, around 321 to 185 BCE. During Maurya Kingdom, what happened? Maurya Kingdom, now see the diversity. India during that time, India, Afghanistan, Eastern Iran, almost 5 million square feet area, India was being taken over. And the capital was Pataliputra or Patna. Now, Mauryan Kingdom, see how this food influences. Whenever there is a ruler, there is already extreme, there is spreading, the food is present throughout the country, throughout the world. A ruler imposes certain features in the food. So already the methods of the cooking, roasting, boiling, frying, already now existing. Imperial kitchens. Maurya Kingdom saw rise of imperial kitchen, feast, what in today's say the banquet menu. Now earlier, this from the Vedic period, the transformation. So India is a land of total transformation, giving the entire culinary art to the whole world. The royal menu or the royal banquet kitchen were being showcased during this Mauryan period, during the rule of Chandragupta Maurya. Meals were lavish, showcased of regional ingredients were being used, as during that time there was a trade with Greece and Persia, which introduced new cooking techniques like usage of saffron and dried fruits. Now, these exchange in the rice part, earlier it was steamed rice, boiled rice, then payasam. Now this rice are changing into spices with dry fruits, and the pulao structure is already taking place during this Mauryan Kingdom. And very interesting feature in Mauryan, Maurya period, that a new feature was being seen in the food. In today's food, a lot of antibiotic we take it for this immune system. But during that time, a new technique was being used for the king. The kings were being poisoned. During that time, there was Vish Kanya. to kill the kings, there was being girls which used to have poison in their mouth. And to prevent that, these chefs with these doctors, they had started making small amount of medicinal poison in the king's food, so that kings get habituated with the poison, and any sort of poison will not hamper their dietary plans. So during that time, one more important rises Buddha. Now, in 1550 BC, when Gautama Buddha's Buddhism was the spread of Buddhism, also promoted vegetarian diets, and what we today's date call vegan. See how things are changing. We got chapatis already and grindings in Indus Valley. In Vedic, we are seeing more modernization of diet plans. Food is becoming more modernized. In Maurya imperial kitchen, banqueting taking over, lavish meals with spices. Again, there is a balance. There's a balance of Buddhism food, which are promoted in vegetarian diets. That, rice as a staple thing. Now, coming to this period where, Buddhism food, the vegetarian flourished, promoting vegetarian diets, particularly among the monks and the followers. Rice was always a staple meal. And during that time, there is one more improvement in the Indian culinary, which is puffed rice. So there are traces that during that time, puffed rice was in a formation, and which was being founded in that region of Maurya, Magad, and that part of today's modern Bihar. Now, coming to after, see, the things are changing. We are getting more advancement. Sangam period, this given a great changes in South Indian cuisine and today's modern South Indian cuisine. Now we are talking about crepes, whole world. We are talking about different types of, flat dishes, chilla. But if I say dosa was being introduced, because during that time already fermentation of the food, their techniques was already introduced. Right, the fermentation. See how the modern things are being changing in the Sangam period. Sangam period, the foods, basically the Tamil Sangam literature provides detailed account of the food habits in southern India, dishes like idli, dosa, and payasam, which was existing, now made with different types of coconuts. And the ancient, this South Indian, there was an audience who was talking about this potato as his ancient vegetable. But potato came later on. Today's masala dosa is a product of colonial cuisine. But earlier dosa was just a plain dosa where sesame seeds were being used, where coconut was being used, and coconut chutney is being one of the oldest form of cuisine in the whole world. Now, coming up as a seafood. Now the coastal area was developing in seafood, usage of seafood in tamarind. During that time, the entire South Indian cuisine, that the particular belt was shaping up with seafood, usage of seafood and using of dosas during this period. Now, as later on, if we move to, towards this thing, now as the trades were going on, there's an important feature I would like to add, which is called star anise. Star anise was one of the spices which was seen in rice, which were flavoring this coastal food, the coastal cuisine, like the seafood, which was during that time, which was enhancing. Now coming to this part of Gupta Empire, there was not much changes, but one significant changes in Gupta Empire, which has been added in the modern Indian culinary, is that usage of clarified butter and fermented foods. Now, Gupta period saw the refinement of culinary techniques, with dishes becoming more complex and sophisticated. How? This was the time when the sweetener like jaggery became most widespread. The jaggery was being introduced, and jaggery was not only being made with sugarcane. Usage of sugarcane, it was also being made with dates. And one more traces is that the jaggery was made from palm fruit also. Now, apart from this, we are coming to, Indian cuisine. This Indian cuisine was almost the modern cuisine, which has predominantly with vegetarian diets, which has a lot of millets, which has a lot of rice, like dosas, idlis, desserts, which has been with milk products, high technique of paneer one being introduced. After that, from around, Gupta Empire till, if you are talking about Mughal period, during that, there was a gap. And there was a gap, the food was slowly changing, because there, during that gap, before the Mughal and after Gupta Empire, there was a arrival of Islam in India. An arrival of Islam, like in 75 AD, Kushana kingdom was already in south. Later on, the arrival of Islam was around 1000 AD. And as the arrival of Islam came, according to the historian, the usage of more garlic in meat garlic was basically more, different techniques, because again, there will be a conflict that somebody will say that garlic later on, more developed garlics came from China. But those garlics was being traded also. India already having garlic, but few variation of garlic came from Tajikistan. And there was already the cooking techniques was being introduced in a little bit of Muslim culture of that belt, particularly 13th century. See, around 13th century, there was Delhi Sultanate, which was all the slave dynasty, which we talk about later on. It was Khilji dynasty, then Tughlaq dynasty, then was Sayyid dynasty. And there was not much movement, or we don't see much changes in Indian food culture. Now, history of Mughal cuisine. I'll not speak much, because one of the speaker is there in very renowned chef, Chef Ashish Basin. He would be talking extensively about Mughal cuisine. But Mughal cuisine was the first cuisine which started the fusion food. What we are talking about, the whole world fusion food. Entire world today, there are traditional dishes, but there are also fusion food which are existing in our menu. This was the landmark of the fusion food, which was called the Mughal cuisine. Now, how this Mughal cuisine was came to the shape? Now, Mughal cuisine, see, Mughal era, when this Babur came, and in along with this, they have a great touch of this Persian and Turkish food traditions, usage of meat, usage of spices, and how this Mughal cuisine was transforming Indian cuisine. We'll talk about this Mughal cuisine. See, the Persian influence, the Central Asian descent, and which was heavily influenced by tampok, slow cooking. But again, I'll tell you, tampok, or the a type of meal which I've already mentioned, mansodan in Vedic, they had this technique, but it was not much developed. See, as an advancement, tampok usage of saffron was there. Now, due to the traders, the whole world was moving around, exchange of culinary exotic things was being used. Dry fruits was already there, but usage of dry fruits, saffron, nuts was heavily being seen in this Mughal cuisine. Now, this breads, we had this sort of chapatis, or breads which was being existing in India. There was fermented breads. They used to make a fermenters, and the most important part of this Mughal cuisine is lavish food. The food was taken, what we say today, a Michelin food, a very artistic food, exotic food. The food was taken to the next level in an exotic manner. How is the exotic manner? Now, different spices were being used in different methods. Aromatics like rose water and keora water, which was being used. Now, already there was curries which were used to exist to make the most richer curry. The usage of yogurt, cream, these are being added to make this lavish food. See, if you see the shaping up, see, India as a whole, if I talk about this Mughal cuisine was revolving Indian in a particular belt, which is influencing North India. But it was influencing, it was adding its, its flavor to the whole Indian culinary. If I say the whole other parts of India, it was still there. They are following those age-old things during that time. but new changes are being made by those rulers, the emperors, where usage of this different methods was being used. Very interestingly, the usage, what different stories have, how this Babur, Humayun, how they have made additional changes. Now, Babur, who was, melons, like fruits like watermelons and pomegranates, which was existing, the word with India, which we say mocktails or sharbat, these India was already, this is a new change. It was happening. Earlier, it was more into chach or curd-based drink or those wood apple drink. But, flavored drinks, if I'm talking about usage of keura water, usage of rose water in sharbat to make it an exotic things, which was introduced by Babur, and Humayun influenced the food, but things changes from Akbar. How things changes? How this Mughal cuisine shaping up? If you talk about Mughal cuisine, we talk about biryani, we talk about kebabs, we talk about nalli nihari, exotic foods, which creates a new dimension of Indian cuisine. Now, there is a story behind this nalli nihari. Some of the in winter during Akbar's time, there was a fever, say around this 15th century. No, I'll just tell Nalli Nihari is later on. I'll talk about this biryani. During that time, biryani was came into the picture. Nalli Nihari, I pardon, Nalli Nihari came a later part. I'll speak about. Akbar's time, they have seen two dimensions. One is biryani, which was the cooked food, and cooked food with meat and rice, which was flavored. So Akbar's cuisine in Aini Akbari, there was about two things mentioned. One, rise of vegetarian cuisine in this Mughal cuisine. During that time, if I talk about Sangha period, after this Sangha period and this Gupta period, there is a gap. There is a huge gap of almost 800 years. How this, slowly the Islamic came and the food is slowly changing. So during that time, Jodha Bai, Akbar got married, and Jodha Bai introduced a dal panchmeli, which we found in everywhere, is one of the perfect dish in Indian menu. So this was in the rice. So different, and due to his, historian says that due to his, trouble with the stomach, he was basically Monday, Thursday, and Friday, he used to take meat and alcohol. Rest of the days, he used to have this vegetarian diets. So vegetarian diets, since Jodha Bai was from Rajasthan, during that time also dal bati churma, those types was taken, it was flourishing. All over in India, it was spreading along. So vegetarian diet was in Akbar's menu. Jahangir, if you are talking about this murg musallam or the stuffing, that meat which is stuffed inside, during that time we see a lot of dishes. As Jahangir was connoisseur of wine, murg musallam was also a part being combined with this wine, where we see different types of chicken being used and stuffed inside, stuffed chicken sort of thing, which we find in Jahangir's time. Now, Shah Jahan's time, Shah Jahan's time, which I was talking about, and one of the dishes, it was basically one of the pioneer dishes called Nalli Nihari. What is Nalli Nihari? Nalli Nihari is nothing but a unique dishes. It's a more modified version of soup. What is the soup? During that time, there was a viral fever, which was spread during that time, and the doctors had prescribed the dishes during that time with meat and mutton and spices to keep the body warm. And this was one of the most dominant dishes, which in today's date, it is taken as a winter special dishes. And one of the very important feature which I would like to add, during this Mughal period, why there was so much rise in this cuisine? Because apart from the emperor or the king, the next position was of the prime minister. And the third position was given to the today's, what we say about the general manager in a five-star hotel. The similar position was that the name was called Mir Pakawan or Khan Salar. Not Khan Sama, it's Khan Salar. they were these positions which they are the main in charge who used to decide the food with the hakim or the doctors. They used to design the culinary where you know there are a lot of golds and silvers has been added because they were kings. Not only lavish, they required strength. So their food was being designed, and accordingly the food changes. So Shah Jahan not only introduced this Nalini, but also during that time, one of the most important invention was Shahi Tukra desserts, kulfi, the ice they used to get from this Kashmir region, and they used to, you know, with milk and with different flavored water like rose water, kevda water, they used to flavor the milk and the ice, and they used to make those kulfis where, you know, a lot of cream was being used also that time. Now, one more thing I would like to add that, you know, one of this story reveals that Mumtaz, when she was going in a military camp, she saw that the soldiers are weak, and, you know, then she suggested there should be a protein diet. There are a lot of stories regarding, you know, biryani formation. But one of the historical story which I'm revealing, that the soldiers are weak, and that time there was rice and meat was being cooked together as a protein diet, and from there actually biryani has taken a rise. Also during that time, halim, which is being a high protein food with meat and wheat being cooked together, and desserts like mango desserts was into the rise. Now coming to Aurangzeb, already Mughal cuisine has taken a shape, and it was a royal cuisine. If you see, the royal cuisine is already existing in Punjab during that time, you know, in the history in Punjab. Patiala's king, the lavish food, which there are being, you know, historical facts that the gravies was being made with aloo bukharas, the lavish gravies. So parallelly, Punjab was already in a high rise of this royal cuisine also, apart from Rajasthan, which dominantly was a vegetarian cuisine. Now, Aurangzeb again was a lavish feast which added buffets, you know, long buffets of different types of kebabs, sheikh kebabs, different types of breads. So basically, what we get from this Mughal cuisine was biryani, kurma, and one of the methods which has given Shah Jahan, when the story says when he was making Taj Mahal. So he wanted to invite guests and to serve a new dish. The dish was nothing but a braising technique. The braising technique was used, and kurma was being invented during that time, apart from kebabs and other things. Now, Rogan Josh is a very important fact. Again, I'll ask the audience. Let us have a little bit of interaction. Now, Rogan Josh, it's one of the, you know, unique feature in today's culinary menu planning. So, what exactly would you understand by Rogan Josh? It's a very, very common thing. So what exactly is Rogan Josh for you?
Sir, it's a mutton stock. It's a very favorable and very energetic stock which is given
great,
to the...
Great, chef. Absolutely. But you know, Rogan Josh, what was the specialty? Why it became one of the, if I'm talking about almost 500 years back, in today's date, more than 500 years back, and one of the most popular dishes in today's date. What was the feature which made Rogan Josh as Rogan Josh?
हेलो शेफ, रोगन जोश मीन्स जोश जो हमारा बोन मैरो से है सर, उसको इतना पकाया जाए कि जो उसका जोश है, जो उसका बोन मैरो है, वो एनर्जी उसकी जो ग्रेवी में इनकॉर्पोरेट होके जो एनर्जी दे सर.
Absolutely, chef. Absolutely, you're right. But allow me to add a little bit more fact. During that time, again, I'm telling you, chefs, India was the pioneer. Whatever world has given today, it was not documented, but India was pioneer in the whole world, shaping the whole world's menu, and it was unparalleled. During that time, when, you know, they were cooking, they have gone to Kashmir and they have seen a flour. What is the flour? It's called cockscomb or mawal. Then they've used a method that when they cooked that thing with the, with the meat, there was a layer of oil which was red in color, and that was called, they called Rogan, and it became so popular and so flavorful. See, Mughal cuisine was adding flavor. What we are talking about, you know, exotic or Michelin set, artistic food, usage of, you know, sona, chandi, barak in the desserts. So dishes was there. the story says that it was revealed from Kashmir. And again, I'm telling you, the Kashmiri Pandit's dish was inherited during that time, which was basically improvised by them as Rogan Josh, which is added in the Mughal cuisine. Now, influence of this regional cuisine, Mughal cuisine later on went to Awadh in form of, Nawabs, Hyderabad, Kashmir, and also in one more place in Kolkata. Awadh cuisine, if you see the gharana biryanis, similarly, same flavorful biryanis with spices, with meat. And what happened to Kolkata? When they went to Kolkata, the story says Wajid Ali Shah, when he was actually during the British period, when he was asked to leave his kingdom in this Awadh, he was going to give a complaint to the Queen Elizabeth. And while he was going through the river of Ganges, he falls sick and he has to stay for a few days in Bengal, in Kolkata city, which was the hub of British during that time. And during that time, he went to a place, Khidirpur, and he has lost a lot of, monies and those things. And he was a king, he was a Nawab. Nawabi, it will be always with those Nawabs. No, I'll give my entire, I am staying over there. I'll give lavish biryanis to my soldiers, to my people. But to cost control, they had added potato. And there was one of the most important gharanas of biryani today, the Kolkata biryani, which has the meat, rice cooked together. Now later on, the biryani moved to Bangladesh, where we have kachi biryani, pakki biryani. So there are a lot of gharanas, Lucknowi one, Kashmiri one. It has went, with the hands of Islam to southern part. If you are talking about Chettinad biryani. Then if I go to Kerala, Thalasseria biryani, it has taken different ranges. In today, biryani has been not cultivated in a whole, but India has one of the most important gharanas of biryanis. This Mughal cuisine has already been shaped up in these areas of Uttar Pradesh, Delhi, especially northern India. Influence of the street food in Mughal cuisine. In today's we say roll or parathas. Parathas was already in the rice, parathas, kebabs, and they used to roll it. So Indian cuisine is developing a street food. Street food was being developed during this period with the hub of this parathas, kebabs, and this street food. But contemporary, if you talk about whole India's, see, you go to South India, already appam was there. Appam has already taken a street food. But this Mughal was the pioneer. They are the rulers. They are promoting this sort of food, which was taking place in our Indian history. Now, if you talk about Maharashtra, misal pav. Misal pav, the bread was already came during that time. Bread was already fermented. There were traces that the fermentation already started after during Vedic period it was developed, and there was fermented bread was started. So misal pav, one of the most India's moong dal. Moong dal is soaked 1 or 2 days before, and then it has been cooked. It came during this time because the tomato came from the hands of Portuguese. How did tomatoes and potatoes came? We'll discuss in the next slide. After this Mughal period was happening, India was finally reshaping up with the other fusion cuisine. Now, other fusion cuisine is the colonial era of British period, of British Raj cuisine. See, during British Raj cuisine, the sailors, the East India Company came to Kolkata, and they started this business. And in the Battle of Palashi, the Nawab, Siraj-ud-Dowla, the last Nawab, got defeated, and slowly Britishers came and taking its foothold in India. That was the time when entire documents, the last documentation, whatever we have, whatever India was a pioneer in the whole shaping up in the entire whole cuisine. What we say today, pressure cooking. What we say today, baking, cheese bake, pizza bakes. This was already being showcased in Vedic period in form of dry heat types, putting the meat in pot roasting and in the dry heat already. Now things have started changing. How? Already there is little documentation which was there. Things are started, a new historical things would be written, and the entire Indian culinary, the pioneer of Indian cuisine, the rich, what India we used to call the Sonchiriya. Now the re-history was supposed to be created by the British, this particular British rule. What happened during this? Britishers came and they came. Now the Indian food is already existing, a blend of Indian food, age-old food, cuisine, along with this Mughal cuisine developed. Now the Britishers' cuisine, method of cooking. Cuisine is basically the method of cooking. We are making a roasting, we are making a chapati, they are making ingredients and they are adding fermentation, they are making a bread. Now the method of cooking is changing. Now Britishers was, during that time, there was the Khansama. See, Khansama things, you know how changing. They have told, okay, let us use Indian food. They found it a little bit spicy because spicy chili is different. Spicy means flavorful, which Britishers was basically, their food habits was blunt. In Vedic period, India was being the pioneer of vegetables. What sort of vegetables was not there in India? The entire vegetables which have flavors, the entire nuts, spices, everything was there in India. But during that part of the Europe, what was there? The majority was not into that growth of vegetables because of the geographical condition. Meat was in use, frozen meat was being used because there was not advantages. But India was already there with advantages with plants like, tulsis and medicinal value to the food. Now things are changing. The Britishers started changing the cuisine. Method of the cooking has been changed. Stew, panthiras. Now already frying was there. I'll tell you panthiras, chutney, how these things came in British colonial period. This time potatoes was being introduced, which in today's date is a pioneer in Indian cuisine. Potato was never of Indian origin. It was starch. There are traces. There are traces that there are starches. There are roots. Tapioca, there are different roots which are being used during that time. See, millets was being used. Again, how this India is again changing up. During this 200 years of, in the British rule, history was being demolished. The entire books was being demolished and rewritten everything. Potatoes are being used. And if you see this colonial cuisine, potatoes are being used everywhere. If you see Guanese, extreme influence of the Portuguese. What is Vindaloo in Goa? Vindaloo is nothing but the meat which is marinated in wine and cooked in a method is Vindaloo. This has nothing to do with aloo. What is bibinka? Bibinka is nothing. See how this influence has become. Bibinka is crepes with the layers of jaggery. From where they got the usage of jaggery? Now the potatoes were being coming from, historian says that it came from different parts of South America, this potatoes and tomatoes, and it has added values to the Indian cuisine. Now dosa is already having this rice and starch crispy. Now this mushy things which was added with a crunch of onions and the little bit spices, dosa became most popular. Now things are changing during Britishers. Things are becoming mild. The food is becoming mild. There was coconut. Already coconut was being used in 5,000 years back. Now the formation of using coconut milk, what being used in British recipe. Now, my learned friends, what is the national soup? Everybody knows. What is the national soup of India?
Mulligatawny, sir.
Mulligatawny. And what is mulligatawny? What do you feel? See, today I'm talking about some beliefs which were demolished, but the logic still exists. What is mulligatawny? And can you relate mulligatawny in any of the food? What is mulligatawny?
So lentil soup.
Actually, in Tamil, milaga means pepper, tanni means water. So British had a major base in Chennai, that is old Madras. So there they got this idea from milaga and tanni, which is rasam actually. And the British added apple to it and added rice and made it milaga tanni.
And lentils. Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely, you are right. See the change. Khichdi was existing. Porridge was existing. Now, khichdi was existing, transferred to porridge. Rasam was existing. Now rasam, this imli is an age-old thing. Now this fusion started, combination started according to their taste, not to our taste. Things were started and it became the national dish, national soup of India, which was written in the history. But if we say the stocks, the vegetable stocks which are developed in earlier days, if we talk about the millets is a national bread. Millets was being used. It was a formation. Actually, things are changing. National soup was this Muligatwani. Now, what are the other things changes? What was the sugar and baking? Already sugarcane was there. Now it was sugarcane. He's saying jaggery. Jaggery in today's date, we are saying no to any type of white. I hope everybody will agree. White flour, white salt, white sugar. Jaggery was replaced. More formation of factories came up and the sugar was being used. Second, yes, the diversification always there. I'm saying that yes, there are being new things which was added, but it was fusion. Kedigri, Muligatwani soup. Kedigri is a version of nothing but Indian khichdi, Muligatwani soup. But the few things which was inherited by us as an Indian, see, becoming a cosmopolitan place, we inherited few dishes which Anglo-Indian cuisines, which one of the renowned chef, vegetarian chef Miss Brigade will be talking about. Anglo-Indian cuisine was in a rise. Anglo-Indian cuisine, there are a lot of things which we have got in today's day, but we forget about actual recipes. Vegetable jalfrezi and this thing. Biryani variations was kept in this thing because fish was being used and potatoes was being used. In colonial cuisine, chai. As we all know the story that chai was being introduced as, so that the labor, it's an energy drink. Tea is an energy drink. But Indian teas, if you talk about Indian teas, in Vedic time, we say different types of, they used to, what we say is today. See, I'm talking about the advancement, what India is talking about today. The world is talking about today, India already had. We are talking about the most important herbal teas, green teas. It was already there. There was different plants which are always being mentioned in Shushruta, Sangita, this Ayurvedic books, that those plants are being boiled and they used to make a drink for healing any type of diseases. Food was always the medicine for India. Now things was changing and the club cuisine. Club cuisine means, the club sandwiches, the breads. Britishers, the food, a new shape was coming up. Fish, the fried fish, what we say, the fish fry, or we say fish and chips. This was formation, the crumb fried things was coming up. Pantheras does not exist. You will find in very, very rare places in somewhere in South India or in Kolkata, in very few shops, maybe one or two, which is existing. Pantheras, again, there is a dominance. You will see a type of roll, a spring roll, which is being fried with breadcrumbs, a light breadcrumbs. That is the pantheras, which is made with fish, because fish was abundant in Kolkata. The cuisines was shaping up. The fusion cuisine was shaping up. There was the dish like a railway cuisine. The railway cuisine was being introduced by Britishers, and rail was one of the most pioneer thing people are traveling. The railway mutton curry, a succulent mutton curry with basically where coconut milk was being used to demolish the most spicy flavor which was being used. Appam in South India, if you say stew and roast were being introduced. And plum cake. Again, I'll talk about a little bit thing. Plum cake has a different history also in Mughal cuisine. Historian says, when Jahangir, Jahanara, when she was there as, she was to come with the king, there are a lot of travelers, there are a lot of business people who used to bring small gifts. They used to bring small wine to Jahangir and to dry fruits, and she used to make cakes during that time. What sort of today's we say the plum cake. So plum cake, fruit cake, this was being, see India's menu, if we see a lot of puddings in Indian food today. Indian stew, the South Indian stew, Indian roast. So these have been definitely inherited during this British Raj cuisine. And also the tea culture, the tea, the tea parties. During this time, we in today's say, we say high tea. In Majority five-star hotel, high tea is a very common feature where different types of, small snacks was being introduced, branches was being introduced. So these was being adding on in this thing. And see, tea culture, this was Assam, known for its color, Darjeeling tea, known for its flavor. So there is the difference in the plants, these tea leaves. Again, how they are influenced, or like Darjeeling orange pekoe tea, or so during that time, British teas was in a higher rise. Tea dominantly was being taken with water. Later on, it was with the milk. And again, biscuits. Biscuits was during that time, which was one of the most important invention during the British Raj cuisine. Samosas are being modified, but sambusa, which is taken in the Persian history around during the arrival of Islam in India. Now, apart from this British Raj cuisine, how things are shaping up? I'll just take a little bit, this Mughal cuisine, exotic things, British Raj cuisine, more into see how this balance. India is getting a balance, a more rich food or lavish food. British food is more into balance, a complete meal diet. If you see the British cuisine, where you will find either a mashed potato or some rice with a high protein, either it's a meat or a fish or some chicken, and with balance with some vegetables. So sausages and canteen culture, military mess halls was during this time. Britishers came during this time. And this was again limited. If you see see how this cuisine was changing, wherever Britishers moved or wherever this Mughal moved, that area was developing that culture. Others are holding this thing. So influence in the regional cuisine is Bengal. Now there is a dish again, Mughal and British cuisine, which is a rezala, which is only there is a place in Kolkata, a Sabir restaurant, which only creates chicken rezala in its authentic style. And Bengali food was heavily influenced. In today's Bengali diet, you will see potato in every meal. In Indian diet also, but in Bengali especially, you will see fish with potato, chicken with potato, mutton with potato. This was been influenced by British. But there is, again, this was mentioned that Sandesh or this thing was being developed. No, it was definitely not developed. It was much more developed during the Vedic period, where usage of paneer was there. India, this was condensed, and the milk was, they had already made the method, and with the usage of the jaggery and cottage cheese, they used to make desserts. Goa has a predominantly Portuguese influence. Tamil Nadu, again, this food, you will see Tamil Nadu, a particular belt, Madras, and this has a dominant of British cuisine. Now, after this entire history of this cuisine, after this, pre-independence thing, India was getting its states. So there was kingdom was demolished, no kings, no maharajas. There was different states. Now different states became rising. Now this was rising. They were actually working on vocal for local. Local cuisines was coming into the platform. Already if you talk about the historical foods, already being out from India's menu. Whenever we see Sattvic menu in the Indian history, apart from few places like Sadeh and Kerala, it was already being deleted. The ancient rich menus, the recipes are being deleted. The new formation of Mughal cuisine, the British food, few regional cuisine was not into the high. Punjab was one of the places which has taken Indian food into a different heights for global, movement of the people in global things. So during that, after this, pre-independence, again there was research started doing the Ayurvedic cuisine or the doshas, the tattvas. Okay, let us make a balanced diet where your food will be having all the structures of sweet, sour, salt, bitter, pungent, and astringents. So after independence, evaluation, of the Indian map, these are the states. See, earlier it was 29 states, now we have 28 states, but still, how these states has started making its threshold of foothold in the prime Indian market. In 20 years, 30 years before, we cannot think about Assamese cuisine. We cannot think about Arunachal Pradesh cuisine in the mainstream menu 30 years before, 35. There was existing. But slowly India has started, because of the top-notch chefs and working on Indian food, how these things was changing. Kashmir food, which was Wazwa. Kashmir food was one of the lavish food, Wazwa. Wazwa was slowly right now, the few dishes was there. Rogan Josh, absolutely done. But what about this Halim, or what about this, Gustava, this thing? This was existing, but it was not getting much popularity in India. But India was already diversified. Now, Himachal Pradesh, we are talking about Siddhus, this thing, Punjab, Dal Makhani, Sarson Ka Saag, and lavish ranges of vegetables. Again, if you see this Punjab, Chandigarh, Haryana, Delhi, similarity of the food. Rajasthan, desserts. The dessert dal bati churma, or in today's date, we are talking about charcoal grill food. What was charcoal grill food? In desert, this concept of dal bati churma was the roti was cooking in the sand. Inside the sand, and in the heat, this getting this, this flavors. So huge India's culture was being actually, a new formation was starting, a new shaping of the starting. The royal foods of Rajasthan. Why this royal foods of Rajasthan was not into the rule? Because it requires time. It requires us time. Now, slow cooking was taking a back pace. Fast cooking, fast foods was taking, because of the globalization. Fast food in today's date, we are saying no to fast food. Yes to this slow cooking, which is our age-old food. Gujarat's, Gujarat's thepla, khanvi, each segment, if you see India's, you will find medicinal values, you will find richness in the food, you will find a local taste. If I'm talking about Maharashtra, if I'm talking about, this particular belt of Goa, Karnataka, or this thing, Kerala, Malabar cuisine's flavor. What we are talking, if you see, there is a a very viral thing that in Chinese, a lot of viral things, you will see this bun parathas, or parathas of thing, they are breaking inside and they are cooking these things. From where did it came? These parathas are age-old structure, age-old cuisines of India. And then moving to how these are shaping up. Bengal's fish. See, again, it was the combination. What we say, macher jhul. A fish has a very tangy flavor. A fish has a fleshy flavor of its own. If it is introduced to a different parts of India, where people has been not exposed to the foods, obviously they will find a fleshy smell in the fish. Later on, the chef started working and restructuring it, or I would say customizing according to the different states. So Indian regional cuisine was more into the states. Now millets are coming up, as it is the world of millet, year of millet. Litti is basically coming up, a stuffed bread, litti combination with mutton. Now the Indian regional cuisine are being shaping up in India, because India is reviving its old history. And the cuisine dominantly, geographical condition, what we are getting today is a combination of ancient age-old cuisine. In future, I would say that India is one of the pioneer country which is supposed to get one of the best culinary modern menus, which can beat any of the, which can make any of the world cuisine. What did COVID shows us? COVID has shown the dominance of haldi, or dominance of the spices which has medicinal values, can heal any sort of diseases. So if you are coming to, these are already this basically Indian cuisine, North India part, which is stabilized with Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan. They are basically featuring up with an entire cuisine of vegetarian delicacy, non-vegetarian delicacy. Again, they are combining the dishes. Rogan Josh, yes, with it might be a lal mas from Rajasthan. If I'm talking about Punjab's butter chicken with Safed mas of Rajasthan, they are actually bringing a combination of vegetarian and non-vegetarian features in the upcoming menus, where South Indian appam is already has taken a major lead with stew, with other things, different features of dosas are already there. Eastern India, now we see a big rise in Eastern India. Fish is one of the most underrated food in India, the fishes of India has those medicinal values. If you are getting sick, we are using the most costliest cod liver fish capsules. But why we are not using fish? Fish is the one of the most pioneer which can heal any sort of diseases. Now fish is on a roll. Now sweets like Sandesh and Rasgulla, we are not talking about fried sweets. We are talking about fresh cottage cheese, which is being just used in a sugar syrup. Now we are talking about Kolkata. There is a jaggery called Nolen Gur or Notun Gur, which is basically made from dates. And this is the sugar syrup is being made in dates, and this rasgulla or the cottage cheese balls are being made over there. A power-packed food of health food, which they are using stevia leaves for this sugar. Now Assam, Odisha, Northeast, the bamboo chicken, the bamboo biryani, the bamboo vegetables, which has the food is cooked. The bamboo has a water storage. The food is cooking. It's succulent juices. So these are fancies. These are world class, and these are taking a lead in this Indian cuisine. Similarly, the Western India. Western India, the street food. What is misal pav? Again, one of the power-packed healthy food. The moong dal being soaked overnight and it's being combined with breads. It is taking up a few things like this zakuti. Zakuti is a pure Indian origin Guanese cuisine. These are being taking places in a more dominant way in Indian market. Pav bhaji, abundant vegetables being mashed and being served with Indian. So Indian diversity, a whole world together. And if you see Indian diversity, you see cheese. If you see baked, you'll find in India. You see steamed, you'll find abundant siddhu. These momos, which are origin of, if you see this Darjeeling type of momos, abundant steamed things. If you talk about charcoal grill, you'll find abundant, whether it's litti, whether it's mitti chicken or cooked in mud, you'll find abundant cooked in banana leaves, paturi, which is being fish wrapped in banana leaves. So you will find a variation of food with historical touch, with abundant. Now the diversity is huge, and states which are making landmark. See, Kerala nowadays, sadhya, this cuisine is absolutely vegetarian delicacy with their particular, and we are talking about vocal for local. Let India's states grow their in an economical rise, being in an entrepreneurship. How they have their own culture, they have their own agriculture, and they are influencing the cuisine, and which is coming in this rise. What is the kadala curry? Puttu is nothing but a more modified, if you see, it's like a Italy, and kadala curry is this chana, black chana curry, which we are getting in Punjab, in different places, and also this has been combined over there. Other places like Gujarat, Rajasthan, definitely Rajasthan is making a more landmark in a 5-star menus, not only, in signature festival, but in a regular things. Nagaland. Now, Nagaland, Nagaland's few things, if we are talking about, again, I'm talk about a dish that uses of bamboo shoots. These are the tribal cuisine. We have, again, we will have a chef, celebrity chef, the owner of Ajam Emba, Chef Aruna Thirke, who has started her first tribal cuisine in Jharkhand. Now, how this tribal food takes a landmark with its culinary delicacy in the Indian cuisine. Tamil Nadu is not about, concept is idli, dosas. Dosa is similar to parathas. Paratha is very different in Kolkata. We say parotha. In Malabar, parotha with, different flour. And in Punjab, in Haryana, different types of paratha. Similarly, dosa. Dosa is not only, with something, a pancake sort of thing with potatoes. There are segments of dosas which are being eaten in different ways, different types. So again, the things are coming up. Bengal fishes are coming up in a customized way. Mutton, which is kosher mangsho, which is cooked in a very different manner. The fish, which is hilsa. Hilsa has a lot of bones, but due to British period, they have started deboning this thing, and hilsa is coming up. one of the most delicacy fish. We are talking about salmon. We are talking about world fish, but India is a powerhouse of fish with Indian carp, rui, katla, the Indian crabs. See the sea fish range of lobster. So this is coming up, and the desserts like fermented curd, mishti doi, which again is making up with jaggeries, which you will find a similarity with Shrikhand in Maharashtra, in Gujarat. Again, if I'm talking about Andhra style perisattu. Perisattu again is a dosa in South India, but it is made with green gram dosas. So these are coming up in a diversity thing. One particular dish, I can create a variation so that my manpower does not require a huge manpower. So different five-star, different standalone restaurant, again, different kiosk in a smaller kiosk are coming up with a specialty cuisine, takeaway. And India is going to see the huge rise in Meghalaya. See, if we talk about Spanish cuisine say a dish called, which is cooked in rice and fish. So what is the dish? If you can tell me that one of the most eminent dishes in modern world cuisine. So if I ask you the question, what is the dish which is this Spanish dish? Yes, anyone? The famous Spanish rice, what is the name?
Paella.
Paella, chef. Paella.
Absolutely, paella or paella we say. Absolutely right. If I say it is a later on modified version of jadu, it was never featured. Historian says that the traces were found, it was never cultivated. Meghalaya, if you go and see this, Meghalaya was more eminent in creating those dishes, and later on there is no clue who has taken this during that time the spice trade, or who has taken in the different parts of the world, and this was modified, but the birthplace was in India. Jadu was nothing but the fish which was cooked with meat, because fish was not available in those hilly regions. So it was actually the red rice which was made later on. The usage of fish, meat, everything was there in the jadu. It's a stock. It's neither a biryani, neither we say there is a dish, a teri, which is cooked in stocks. So everything was, we get in India, which is a diversified thing. Goa's, again, few Goa's, the Goa's dishes, which is earlier was there, Vindaloo, Zakuti. These are taking places. Vegan is being in a high rise. Vegan food, dham. Dham requires a signature culinary skill, not only culinary skill, a setup. But Siddu, Madra, they are trying, the chefs are trying to make the dishes which does not create a pressure in the manpower, but still India and the whole world, they have a different features. Indian today's modernized is a representation of the ancient to modern cuisine. The fusion cuisine, if you are talking about the fusion cuisine, you see the wraps, the everything is nothing but fusion cuisine which India is forming up. It says Indian menu. The third is adaptation to dietary preferences. Vegan. Vegan, if you are talking about paneer tikka, see chicken sausages, vegan options. Vegetarian sausages, which are being made with different formation of soya. Not only, India is working on a milk which is made from chickpeas. India is working on paneer, which is made from chickpeas, which is, this is being boiled, the water is taken as a stock. That there are a lot of process India is working. And in tomorrow's date, India is not only the pioneer. India cuisine not only has the ability to create a whole world cuisine in all types of preferences, having all the 5 tastes. Indian food will be featuring one of the world's top-notch cuisine, which not only the taste, not only the diversity, it will heal diseases, create an extensive opportunity for tomorrow's hoteliers, a specialty in Indian cuisine, the growth rate in economy, in entrepreneurship, in job-based. So also the finally authenticity, reviving of what we are, what was there. It was not documented. We all chefs and the learned professors of hotel management down the level, they are enriching the students in nowadays what was ours, what was authentic, to keep in authentic touch. There is a saying, कोस में बदले पानी, चार कोस में बदले बानी. What is that? Every mile, the taste of the water changes and the taste of the culinary changes. And every 4 miles, the language changes, the culture changes. So tomorrow's Indian food will not only the pioneer, Indian food will also take its entire world's market. And thank you guys. This was a presentation on Indian cuisine. So it's open for any question answer.
Chef, one clarification that idli and puttu are not the same, even though they are both
No.
steam.
Idli and puttu are not the same. I'm talking about the origin. Absolutely different dish. Idli is being made with fermented. Puttu is a dish which has more dominant of coconut. I'm talking about the similarity. You know, the similarity. What was
Similarity is steaming. That's it. Nothing else.
Yeah.
Because this is urad dal and rice idli. Puttu is rice flour.
Yeah. I'm
And
just talking
coconut.
about the similarity. You know, if you have the flavor things, similarity. I'm just talking about the similarity where India used to exist. The culinary things used to exist. We need to not recreate. We need to revive. We need to revive, restore, and we should be proud enough what we have, and we should work on research work, on reviving our own heritage, culture, which are 5,000 years back.
There used to be a hotel management professor. He is retired now in Trichy. Chef Ponni Lango. He used to do research on lost recipes of Tamil Nadu, and he had made a CD of it, and he had given me a copy also. All these foods are before 16th century, not after 16th century.
Absolutely.
And it was amazing that we had biryanis before. We had biryani means meat and rice to cook together. We had those recipes actually.
Chef, meat and rice, if you are talking about pulao, there are different versions we say. It's a change of words. Mansudan, what was Mansudan which was mentioned in Vedic period? Rice and meat. So we play of different words, but origin is same. We say tehri, we say biryani, we say origin was there. Now flavoring, we are making a more Michelin type. World, the changes we are seeing in a Michelin type. There was Mansudan, later on spices was added, later on it was modified, later on it was, take it to a next level, exotic level. So this was the Indian cuisine.
But also the kebabs came from Central Asia, like Afghanistan, Kazakhstan, and from Turkey and Iraq and all these places.
Yes.
Kebab was not our origin, right?
Chef, kebab was not our origin. But if we go back, in Indus Valley civilization, what was the main occupation? Hunters. The roasting method was always there. In Indus Valley civilization, if you see, there are traces of pits.
Yes.
There are traces of pits, which historians cannot say. Now, what are those pits? Might be olden form of tandoors, olden form of. So meat, any form of meat which I am either marinating or I'm roasting. See, I'm talking about origin of the methods. Again, I'm talking about there are mix and match of words which are being defined. But again, if you see, chef, there are being implemented in certain books or Wikipedia or Google, but there are cookies which were missing, and very old traces are being found. If in today's generation, I would definitely suggest the younger generation to go and read those books especially those books of Shushruta, Sangita, or some parts of Ayurveda or Yajurveda. They will find the reality. They will find what has been implemented to us. Okay, this is the thing, you believe it. But there was also different facts and figures. Thank you,
Since
Chef.
one thing I am very sure about Indian cuisine, ancient Indian cuisine, food and medicine was connected together, and food was a way of treating several diseases also. And that is not nowhere to be seen in maybe in China, yes, but not in Western countries much. But India is a leader in making food as a medicine.
Absolutely, sir.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. And thank you, sir. Thank you, Ashok, sir. And
Thank you, sir.
Mani, sir, I would like to add, you are absolutely right. Absolutely, you are right. Because, I would like to add one thing, regarding the wines. We all know that entire world pioneer is France, Italy, Spain, Portuguese.
Now, but the
If I
ancient
talk
wine was
about
from
this,
Egypt.
meat was born in India. What is meat? The wine which is made from honey. But there are again no documentations are there.
Yes.
So India is not only a leader, India is not only a pioneer. There are a lot of birthplaces, whole world, which has an origin to Indian food. Whether it's today's later on kebabs or whether it's a charcoal grill in sand. I'm talking about the diversification. India has such a diversification. If I talk about any one region, it would take a couple of hours just to describe the region. So
Yes.
India not only has a potential, India in future will be taking a pioneer lead in shaping up the world cuisine, which not only will be pioneer in taste, with food it can heal any sort of diseases.
I think a lot of research can be done by our next generation on healing properties of Indian foods.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Here,
Your
raised a
knowledge
question.
on variety of Indian cuisines is amazing. I was very much amused about your knowledge. Thank you
Thank
so
you, sir.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Aditya, sir, Aditya, Mr. Aditya, if you have any question, you can write or
Am I audible, sir?
yes, sir. Chef, you are audible.
Thank you, Chef. First, it was a great lecture. And it was really pleasure to listen to you what you were saying. There is one thing I want to know, actually. I was listening to a food historian named Pushpendra Pant. Now, he's a well-renowned food historian. So he was talking about Mughal food in India. So what he said was Babur was a nomadic person. He came to India. For 20 years, he was staying in Kabul. He didn't introduce any new thing to the Indian cuisine. You talk about Akbar, he was young when he was made king, and he used to fight war, wages war, and so on. Jahangir tak he went, and they were like he was a Sufi person who used to eat khichdi for 3 days, and he used to do fasting for 3 days in a week. So when you said that the Mughals had started introducing new things, and the Indian food were
Coming in
fused with
change.
fused, and they started fusion food for India. So ain't it?
Why there is differentiation? Absolutely, Mr.
Yes.
Aditya. Right. Mr. Aditya, if I'm talking about what was the food structure before Mughal? Who has given this type of foods of korma, biryanis? From where we got this rice? Babur never introduced. Babur's, again, I would say that the power was given during Mughal rise. The power was given to Khan Salar, or
Okay.
the third person who was after Prime Minister. Just imagine today's Prime Minister, the first position, the first Indian
Okay.
President, Prime Minister, and then it goes to somebody who rules the culinary India. What is the
Okay.
power? What is the invention? So this power, the third person was that Khan Salar, or what we say Mir Baklawal. He was given a power to introduce, and during a reign, see, when we talk about the thing, we talk about history and talk about the Babur's reign. Babur's reign we talk about, okay? During Babur's reign, what happened? Babur came in India and brought certain spices, and that was developed and infused in Indian cuisine. Later on, what happened? Akbar was told that it was being introduced certain foods. During Akbar's reign, it was introduced.
Okay.
Akbar's reign, it was introduced. Again, if you see facts and figures, once there, the Mughal history was poisoned, and later on, that Khan Salar, or the person who was in charge of the food, they used to taste every food in the kitchen, And when they got plated in the king's food, he used to taste it. Jodha Akbar came, there was a balance in the meat and vegetarian.
Vegetarian.
It was on the rice. Third, if we talk about Jahangir, if we talk about Shah Jahan, braising method, these are stresses. If you see Aini Akbari, there are facts and figures. Again, I'm telling you, if you see a chef, a recipe of chicken butter masala, national chicken tikka masala, national dish of England,
Yes.
you'll find a eminent difference in Indian tikka masala and those tikka masalas. But to
Exactly.
have authenticity, in fact, I will already mention that you will find a few authenticity. What I'm talking about, one of the eminent lecturer you will find in Chef Ashish Basin, he will be talking about only the Mughal cuisine, right?
Okay.
But we will be featured. But thank you very much, for sharing this thing so that we can be having an aware. Because actually, if you talk about fusion has started from that time.
The only problem with Indian cuisine is nothing is documented. It's
Nothing
only
is documented.
that has been passed from grandmother to daughters verbally only.
Absolutely, chef. And chef, I would request the younger generation of the chefs to go to few books, Chakrapani, Shushrut Sangita, and Panini. If you have any time access, I would, if I have any sudden access, I'll definitely love to share in the group, from the resource things. Over there, you will find a, dominant and eminent difference between facts and figures, what we read today.
Definitely, sir.
Right. Thank you, chef. Thank you very
sir.
much.
Thank you, chef.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chef, for that enlightening presentation on the diversity of Indian cuisine in global menu planning. There are many things we were unaware of prior to this session, such as world's oldest culinary tradition, the diverse cuisine of India, which have greatly broadened our knowledge and understanding. So now this is the time for question answers. If anyone left for asking the questions, please feel free to ask. Also, I would like to thank you all for your active participation and engagement throughout this session. We appreciate your feedback and suggestions, which will help us improve our future programs. And I request you all, please fill the feedback form, which is already shared in your group. And we will resume our Atal FDP tomorrow around 5:45 p.m. with a new session. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you and good night, everybody.